The rise of a family of immortal cultivators. Hello again, dear adventurers of the multiverse. Thanks for joining us once more on this epic journey. Remember, this story is pure science fiction from our wild imagination, so don't go trying to summon dragons in your backyard. The rights of this amazing novel belong entirely to its original author. We are only the narrators. Do you want more adventures? Show some love to our YouTube channel with a subscription and a like, and if you want exclusive content, our Patreon is waiting for you with open arms. Chapter 176 Situation. In the Wang family's main hall, everyone took their seats again. This time, Wang Yang, Wang Tao, and several other children also sat in the hall. Everyone, please speak. Wang De said. I'll speak first. Wang Zi spoke. None of us have been to Fancheng before. It's bigger than we imagined, much bigger. It's not comparable to the scale of Heijifang City. However, in addition to independent cultivators, there are also many mortals there. Most of them are mortals. I have also communicated with disciples from the 7 major sects there. That place is not so easy to manage. There are often murders and robberies, killings in the streets, robberies, and other things. And because most of them are mortals, the government office has no way to deal with the crimes committed by cultivators. We have to take care of it, and so hundreds of thousands of spirit stones a year are not so easy to get? Wang De asked. Wang Zi nodded. Wang De looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin stood up. I have a clear understanding of the situation of these 28 forces. Let's talk about Fancheng first. It is a place where good and bad people mix together. On the surface, everyone knows that there are a total of 5 independent cultivators with the strength of the early stage of foundation building. However, among these 5 people, 3 of them are not strong enough. All 3 of them were defeated by an inner sect disciple of Kyanidin sect, and this Kyanidin sect disciple was only at the 10th level of key training. Since then, there have been 10th level key training disciples who challenged them, and they were all easily defeated. The 3 of them also got a nickname, called Fake Foundation Building, and get to the point. Wang De looked at Qin Yu, who looked like he was listening to a story, and interrupted him directly in a stern voice. It is true that 3 foundation building cultivators were defeated by 10th level key training, and not just once, and not just by one person, which is quite a story. Wang Lin was stunned. In short, these 3 people are not strong enough and can be regarded as not being in the foundation establishment stage. The remaining 2 are genuine foundation establishment stage cultivators, and they live in Fancheng to cultivate. In addition to these 5 people, there are many rumors from all sides, some of which I personally think are more reliable. The first one is that there is an old man who runs a grocery store in the east of Fancheng. He is said to be a strange man with unfathomable strength. Legend has it that the store he opened in the east of Fancheng has been open for over 150 years, which means he is at least 150 years old, proving that he is at least a foundation establishment cultivator. Moreover, it is said that there was a giant and stage elder in the 5 spirits sect who was very arrogant. He went to that small store to cause trouble and was subdued by the old man in one move. In addition, it is said that Bai Xiaofei, the founder of the Mulin sect, one of the 7 major sects today, used to work as a handyman in that small store. Later, he left Fancheng with a high level of cultivation and a treasure in his possession. He seized the mountain where wandering cultivators lived and founded his own sect, recruiting many disciples. This matter is indeed well-founded. I heard that Bai Xiaofei is still alive and has been in seclusion at the mountain gate of Mulin sect. I heard that he has already reached the nascent soul stage. Otherwise, even if Shangzhuang Valley and Wuling sect fought each other, even if they suffered a lot of losses, the 7 major sects would not be able to defeat Shangzhuang Valley. This time, even Wang De listened with relish and did not interrupt. Wang Lin swallowed his saliva and continued. I heard that this old man also. After listening for an hour or so, Wang Lin finally finished the story. The further he talked, the more bizarre it became. No one cared whether what he said was true or not. Let me talk about the situation of other forces. Wang Lin knew that he had strayed too far, and only then did he pull himself back. Among these 28 factions, the Filong sect is the strongest. As far as we know, it has 4 foundation establishment cultivators, 3 of whom are in the early stages of foundation establishment and 1 in the middle stages. The remaining disciples are also quite powerful, but compared to the other major sects, they don't rank highly. The rest include the major Zhou family, with 2 early-stage foundation establishment cultivators, the Titao sect, and the Wu family, each with 1 early-stage foundation establishment cultivator. There's also the Chu family, which is a bit more mysterious. Rumors suggest they have foundation establishment cultivators, but nothing's confirmed. So, in our area, are the Filong sect and Fancheng considered the 2 major factions? Wang Zimin asked. Wang Lin nodded. Fancheng is full of independent cultivators, each operating independently. They can't really be considered a faction, right? Alright, as long as we understand, my people, tell us. Wang De said. The situation along the coastline isn't as complicated as we thought. After all, sea beasts live in the sea, and most of them live in groups. While powerful, they rarely come ashore. However, when they do, they can be extremely dangerous. Therefore, the disciples stationed along the coastline generally practice just as they would at the mountain gate, without needing to worry. However, if something were to happen, there would be heavy casualties. Wang Zimin explained succinctly. What are their specific strengths? Wang De asked. Almost every group has spirit beasts of the same caliber, and many have high-level spirit beasts, with strength comparable to late Jinden or even Yuanying stages, Wang Zimin said. Wang De nodded. Qin Yi, you tell me. I visited those 2 sacred mountains. The spiritual energy at Mishun is almost as rich as Kingentropy Mountain today, and the peaks are taller, and the terrain is much larger than Kingentropy. Fengshan is a bit less so, but not much different from Liu family mountain gate. Qin Yi said. Wang De nodded. Next, Wang Liaoru and the others presented their findings. Wang De then began assigning tasks, essentially following his earlier discussion with Wang Liaoru. The Wang family spent the New Year's Eve in a state of hectic activity. Aside from the eastern coastline, which Wang De planned to delay for 6 months before taking over, the rest of the territories were directly taken over by members of the Wang and Liu families. Wang De and Qin Yi traveled to the Filong sect. The Filong sect was the most powerful in the newly designated area. Previously, it was under the jurisdiction of the Kainigan sect, though the scope of jurisdiction was undefined. They simply followed the 7 great sects and maintained a peaceful relationship. As one of the 7 great sects, the Kainigan sect was so close that their interactions were rare. Wang Zhan, the Filong sect's headmaster, was an early-stage foundation establishment cultivator. Upon hearing that the head of the Kingentropy Wang family was visiting, he naturally hesitated to act rashly. The Wang family's affairs were causing such a stir in the east, and since they were not too far from Kingentropy, they naturally sought to learn more. Moreover, they had more information than the average family. This was the advantage of being in the middle. They knew everything. If the sky fell, they had support from above. If it rained, the first to be flooded were those below. They dared not offend this newly emerged force vying for supremacy in the east. Wang Zhan personally led his disciples to the mountain gate to greet them, wondering what Wang De's purpose was. Wang De and Qin Yi followed him inside, arriving at the flattest part of the mountain. The Filong sect didn't have many pavilions or towers, just low, thatched huts. It looked even less impressive than the current Wang family. The 3 of them sat down, and Wang De didn't elaborate, getting straight to the point. I heard your sect has 4 foundation establishment cultivators? Wang Zhan, momentarily baffled, agreed. Yes, our Filong sect does have 4 foundation establishment cultivators. So I'd like to negotiate a deal with you, is that possible? Wang De asked. What's the deal? Wang Zhan asked. I'm sure you've heard that our Wang family is now on par with the 7 great sects, as well as the Zhou family to the north. Wang De didn't answer at first, but instead asked. Wang Zhan nodded. Of course I understand this. The news that Patriarch Wang defeated the giant and cultivator of the Mulan sect has spread. Everyone in the East knows about it. Chapter 177 Transaction. No need for politeness. I simply want to say that the 7 great sects have ceded their assets in Fancheng, Hiji Market, and other places to me, but this has also presented me with a problem, Wang De said. What problem? Wang Zhan asked. The eastern coastline. Wang De glanced at him and continued. As you know, sea beasts often wreak havoc along the eastern coast, so we need a permanent presence to defend against them. However, aside from me, the rest of my Wang family members aren't at a high level of cultivation, so I'd like to discuss a business deal with sect leader Wang. Wang Zhan remained silent, but nodded, motioning for Wang De to continue. I'd like your Filong sect to station personnel to guard the coastline. In exchange, I can give you the sacred mountain of Fengshan, Wang said. Fengshan? Wang Zan hesitated. Yes. Wang nodded. Could you allow our sect some time to discuss this and then give me a response? Wang Zan asked. Wang nodded. He stood up, called two female disciples forward to serve tea, and then walked out. Wang and the others were in no rush at this point, simply sitting in the pavilion awaiting their response. To claim these benefits, they had to take over the coastline issue, otherwise, the 7 major sects wouldn't do it. And no matter how powerful Wang was, he wouldn't be foolish enough to go against the 7 major sects. He came this time with the attitude that everything was negotiable, but no objection would be tolerated. He believed they wouldn't offend someone who could defeat a giant and cultivator from the Mulan sect, even though he only had a physical body of around the 10th level of key training, devoid of any cultivation. Wang Zan had been away for the entire morning, returning in the afternoon. Wang and the others showed no impatience. Even as the head of the Filong sect, he probably couldn't make such a serious decision on his own. What do you think? Wang asked. Of course, our Filong sect is willing to take possession of a mountain top, and the sea beasts along the coastline aren't always rampant. But, Wang Zan said. But what? Wang asked bluntly. While this sacred mountain is desirable, it's only a long-term solution. Our sect is short-sighted, focusing solely on immediate gains. Wang Zan said. What do you mean by immediate gains? Master Wang, please speak frankly, Wang said. First, the proceeds from the sea beast hunt will belong to our Filong sect. Secondly, our shops and businesses in Fancheng will be tax-free. Finally, we will be allowed to recruit disciples in Sichuan, Fancheng, and other mortal places, Wang Zan said. Recruit disciples? Wang didn't agree directly, but asked. Why is sect leader Wang willing to give up a mountain just so I can allow you to recruit disciples from anywhere? Master Wang, you don't know. Sects are different from families. For us, talent is our primary resource. Throughout Yizhao, immortals and mortals have coexisted for thousands of years. There are many talented individuals in the mortal world, and independent cultivators everywhere desire to join a sect and have a sense of security. But since the 7 major sects came to power, our Filong sect has only been allowed to recruit disciples within the jurisdiction of Pangxi County, at the foot of nearby Filong Mountain. And the places I just mentioned are only open to sects like Kainigan sect, one of the 7 major sects. Wang Zan stated bluntly. Wang listened to Wang Zan's words and pondered for a long time. He had a deep understanding of the contrast between sects and families and could understand Wang Zan's thoughts, but he couldn't agree at this moment. He needed to consult the 7 major sects, otherwise there would be conflicts. I can't make the final decision on this matter for now, Wang replied. If Patriarch Wang can negotiate this disciple recruitment, even if we disagree with the points I mentioned earlier, our Filong sect is willing to station personnel along the coast. Wang Zan hesitated for a long time before speaking firmly. Alright, we'll do our best to negotiate this. Wang and the others left the Filong sect's mountain gate and began their journey back. Things never go as planned, just as a tree never has a single, straight trunk, it continuously sprouts branches. If the coastal issues aren't resolved, then these benefits will obviously remain unattained. After Wang returned to the mountain gate, he summoned Wang Lin and Wang Liaoru to visit Kainigan sect and other places to gauge their attitudes. Over the past few days, all localities had accepted the situation. With the assistance of the Liuanzhou cultivators, there weren't many surprises. Wang couldn't possibly understand every detail, as that would effectively make him a mere tool. Wang Liaoru, despite his youth, was a man with a clear mind. Wang had appointed him and Wang Lin to temporarily oversee the overall situation, though the final major decisions would still fall on Wang himself. The Kainigan sect and other sects weren't too hostile either. They saw that the Wang family only had a few dozen members, and even if Wang was powerful, it was clearly impossible for him to manage such a large area. Therefore, they assumed that Wang was preparing to establish his own sect and was therefore demanding the right to recruit disciples. However, these large areas where mortals gathered were excellent resources for new disciples. The eastern region has always been turbulent. Not to mention the casualties of the struggle between the 5 Spirit sect and Shangzong Valley, countless cultivators fell in the struggle for supremacy among the 7 major sects alone. Back then, the 5 Spirit sect and Shangzong Valley were teeming with giant cultivators and foundation establishment cultivators. Today, The total number of giant and cultivators in the entire eastern region can be counted on one hand. Therefore, the resources for new disciples are extremely important. However, they dared not say anything about Wang's requests. The heads of these sects had all been to Conjentropy and witnessed the 8 formation diagram. And among these sects, the Kyanidon sect didn't even have a single giant and cultivator, so he didn't have the confidence to argue with the Wang family. The situation was similar for the other sects. Wang hadn't expected this to go so smoothly. However, at this point, Wang suddenly hesitated to grant the Filong sect the right to recruit disciples. While he had a family system, which offered many advantages, it lacked personnel. He now possessed the strength to challenge the eastern continent, but lacked personnel. He didn't want to establish his own sect. He didn't know how the system would judge him. What if the system couldn't stand it and left? He would be left hanging. After much deliberation, Wang finally determined that this hidden resource was indeed valuable, but he didn't want it. So he devised a compromise, a time limit and a limit on years. The next day, at the Filong sect's mountain gate, Wang Zhan, seeing Wang's second visit, had already guessed most of what was going on. He beamed and welcomed the two inside. Patriarch Wang, how did things go? Not very optimistic, Wang said, keeping things in suspense. Wang Zhan's expression darkened for a moment, but he didn't dare offend Wang, so he quickly recovered. But there's a chance. Wang continued. How about this? Let's set a time limit. You guard the coast for me for a year, and I'll give you the right to recruit disciples for a year. How is that? Wang Zhan was delighted. I've said before that our sect is short-sighted, focused only on immediate gains. This is fine. However, the specific number of years is up to us. We can take it back if we want. How about that? Wang continued. Okay. Wang Zhan replied decisively. And I can't agree to anything you said before. This is the only exchange, Wang continued. Okay, but it's a bit unreasonable to also give you the resources for slaying sea beasts. Wang Zhan said. Okay, then, these two terms. How about that? Okay. The two headed off, settling the matter. However, they were discussing a handover date of 6 months. 6 months wasn't too long, but it was also a good time for him to get to know the area thoroughly. After all, it was a pretty large area. Chapter 178. After the year. Shortly after the Lunar New Year, the snowflakes had not yet dispersed. At the foot of Conjentropy Mountain, next to the private school, stood a thatched hut, plain and devoid of spiritual energy. A small courtyard, also fenced with thatch, was surrounded by several formation flags, each connected to the other, as if in sync. Wang Liaoru, the overseer in charge, had arrived at the foot of Conjentropy Mountain that day to report to Wang. Wang remained alone at Conjentropy. He had to cultivate the soul-devouring seeds first, that was his most important priority. However, cultivating the soul-devouring seeds offered other opportunities, so he was also responsible for guiding the cultivation of the remaining disciples at Conjentropy Mountain. Most of those who remained were 6 or 7 years old. This year's group had not yet gone up the mountain, so Wang had little trouble leading them alone. Elder Jin of the Yanling sect, the same elder who had planted the soul-devouring seeds, had personally visited Conjentropy to offer Wang some guidance. He even stayed for 2 days to observe the seeds. Wang was naturally pleased to have such a mentor. According to him, Wang purchased an isolation formation. While effective at isolating spiritual energy, it couldn't completely block it out, so location was crucial. Wang had originally considered finding a mortal location, where the spiritual energy would be more diluted and easier to isolate, but Elder Jin shook his head. Because spiritual energy tends to concentrate, the thinner it is, the harder it is to isolate. So, they chose a spot at the foot of Conjentropy Mountain, next to the private school, where the spiritual energy wasn't too dense, but not too thin either. After setting up the formation, Wang summoned several disciples to test it. Only after confirming that it was essentially isolated did he plant the soul-devouring seed. Elder Jin had been very clear about the timing, so Wang naturally couldn't figure out the pattern, so he couldn't. As for the mortal tears used for irrigation, Elder Jin explained that they were divided into 2 categories. One type was ordinary mortal tears, which could be obtained with just a few spirit stones. With so many mortal villages in Conjentropy County, and the Conjentropy County government office, the mortal population was naturally large. Wang simply followed Elder Jin's instructions and had Wang collect them. He only had to pay a few spirit stones, which would count as a purchase. Wang too naturally followed his orders. The second type was the tear crystals Wang had seen before, like the little girls. These tears required extreme emotion to be considered tears. However, these tears could be either good or bad. The tear shed by the little girl Wang had met last time immediately caused his soul-devouring tree to germinate, which was considered good. Others, however, were bad, and Elder Jin had seen many of them. Previously, someone had found such a tear, born of emotional fluctuations, but instead of promoting the growth of their soul-devouring tree, it caused most of it to wither. Some even caused the tree to wither, a fact Elder Jin had learned from experience. One person even captured over a dozen mortals and slaughtered them in front of them, precisely to induce extreme emotional fluctuations in the remaining people. However, the tears produced by these tears could also be good or bad. Therefore, Elder Jin's advice was to proceed cautiously and use ordinary tears to water the tree, but the choice was ultimately up to Wang. Wang himself was also depressed. If he really wasted 20 or 30 years, that would be truly tragic. However, he was still young. Even after 20 or 30 years, he would only be in his 30s or 40s. Besides, he still had the system, so this wouldn't hinder his ability to expand his family. Wang Liaoru spoke for a long time, and Wang had a general understanding of the situation. Hejifang market was small to begin with, and all the shops were owned by their respective owners. After the Wang family took over, they did make some money, but it was only marginal, and the exact amount of income was still unknown. In Fancheng, with cultivators from the Zhao and Liu families, the situation was relatively stable for now, but without a foundation-building master to oversee it, it remained a potential threat. In Misan, the Zhao family's descendants had already gone there and started farming. They had also taken over 7 or 8 small businesses. Now, these 7 or 8 small businesses were a stable source of income, and they required only a small number of people. Wang listened carefully, took out a document, and handed it to Wang Liaoru. I wrote this the past few days. You're going to start implementing it. Wang Liaoru took the document and flipped to the first page. It read, Fancheng Auction House. What's an auction house? Wang Liaoru asked. It has a detailed explanation and operating rules. Take it back and you'll understand. A place as big as Fancheng can't make a lot of money just by collecting protection fees, Wang said. Wang Liaoru nodded and put it into his stored ring. Wang took out another copy and handed it back. This is the Fengshan real estate plan. You're going to implement it as well. Wang Liaoru took it and glanced at it casually. Yes. Advertising must be thorough, understand? It would be very beneficial for independent cultivators with spirit stones, key independent cultivators like Zhu Iao Ferry, and independent cultivators in Fancheng to have a stable training ground, Wang said. Yes, Wang Liaoru nodded. Go ahead and implement it. Report back to me later and see the results, Wang said. Wang Liaoru nodded. I'll have to trouble you, clan leader, with the recruitment of disciples this year. We're all busy. Don't worry about that. I'll handle the clan affairs, Wang said. Wang Liaoru excused himself and returned to his current residence in Fancheng. He began to study Wang's 2 plans. He was struck by how brilliant and ingenious they were. He spent the entire evening studying them, but he didn't implement them directly, for he had too many doubts. So, the next day, Wang Liaoru returned to ask Wang about it. Wang rose early and checked on his spirit-devouring tree. Then he watered it, carefully observing and tending to it. Upon leaving, he double-checked the formation to ensure it hadn't been leaked. He then returned to the mountain, first supervising the disciples' training and then explaining and answering their questions. This took the entire morning. Wang Liaoru returned to the mountain gate at noon, and the 2 of them returned to their residence together. Clan leader, I spent the entire night yesterday studying those 2 plans. I have many doubts. I'd appreciate your help. Wang remained silent, waiting for him to continue. I've thought about the mechanics of auction houses and have a rough idea of how they work, but the details of how they'll work are still unknown. But I just can't wrap my head around this real estate plan. First of all, the price. 300,000 spirit stones for 80 years of usage rights, and that's only for an area the size of a courtyard in Fengshan. I doubt any casual cultivator would do such a foolish thing, right? And how could that casual cultivator come up with so many spirit stones at once? Wang Liaoru asked. First, I've written this plan for you to try. It's not guaranteed to succeed. However, it does have a key factor: demand. Fancheng is home to numerous independent cultivators, but the spiritual energy isn't particularly rich, and most of them are low-level cultivators. They rely on spirit-gathering arrays to cultivate, which consumes a significant amount of spirit stones. These low-level independent cultivators are unable to join the ranks of major sects. Due to recruitment restrictions, smaller sects can't recruit disciples from Fancheng. Therefore, what they desire most is a mountaintop as rich in spiritual energy as Fangqiu Mountain. However, Fangqiu Mountain, a gathering place for independent cultivators, has always relied on strength, and looting and robbing caves are commonplace. Now, I'm selling the ownership of Fangshan. First, it's safe. We've secured the 7 major sects, and everyone trusts us. Second, it's managed and stable, so we don't have to worry about caves being seized, or anything else. Third, we don't have to spend a large amount of spirit stones to maintain the spirit gathering array. Furthermore, having a stable spiritual mountain will accelerate our cultivation, and it provides a steady source of spiritual energy. As for the spirit stones, that's not something we should worry about. Whether it's stealing, robbing, or risking our lives, we only want the spirit stones. And I've even provided them with a mitigation plan, haven't I? Wang said calmly. Is that the mortgage plan? I don't understand what a mortgage is, but selling 80 years of use rights for 300,000 spirit stones, and suddenly having to pay 500,000 spirit stones? Isn't that even more deceptive than foolishness? Wang Liaoru said. It's not a question of whether they're stupid or not, but a question of pros and cons. Think about it, for only 50,000 spirit stones, they can cultivate in the mountains, which means less than 700 or 800 spirit stones per month. With this cost, all they have to do is save up 50,000 spirit stones. Although the monthly spirit stones are more than what they used to cultivate in Fancheng, the results are better than they did in Fancheng. What's more, if the 7 major sects ever collapsed, they wouldn't even have to pay the monthly spirit stone payments, Wang said. I still don't think anyone would be so foolish, Wang Liaoru said. Wang smiled. After all, you are still too young and don't understand the ways of the world, so I asked Wang Lin to make the decision with you. Just give it a try and you'll know. If it doesn't work, we won't lose anything, right? It'll just waste some time. And if it doesn't work, I have a backup plan. Anyway, we won't lose anything. Wang Liaoru had no choice but to leave and go to carry out the plan. Chapter 179, Fire breaks out at the foot of Congentropi Mountain. Good morning, gentlemen. Wang saw 2 teachers from the private school nearby, up early and reading, so he came over to greet them. Patriarch, we are honored, the 2 teachers saluted. The 3 of them chatted for a while, and Wang checked on his spirit-devouring tree before heading back up the mountain. He didn't return until evening. The 2 teachers, clearly tired from a day of teaching, had gone to bed early. Wang checked on his spirit-devouring tree again and prepared to go to sleep as well. But before he could return to his thatched hut, he saw black smoke billowing in the distance, rising into the sky. A closer look revealed that the smoke was heading towards Congentropi County. Sensing something was amiss, Wang returned to the mountain and found 2 of his disciples who were still training in the training room. He asked them to fly him to Congentropi County on their swords. The 2 men naturally obeyed. Their ascent was somewhat shaky. As they approached, they discovered that it was Congentropi County, the entire city engulfed in flames. Just as Wang and his companions arrived outside Congentropi County, they saw Wang standing frantically on the road below, bewildered. Yamen runners and residents were all around, fighting the fire. What's going on? Wang asked Wang. Clan leader, I don't know. We at the county government are following your orders and preparing for this year's tests. We've been busy in the villages, and we never imagined the county town would catch fire, Wang said. Wang frowned and instructed the 2 disciples nearby. Go back to the mountain and call all the disciples in the mountains. Go to the Liu family and ask them to send some cultivators with water-based spiritual roots. The 2 of them responded and left. Wang still frowned. A fire this massive, with the entire county on fire, was clearly beyond the reach of mortals like them. Wang was the only one present, and he had no choice but to rush into the fire. Putting out the flames on his own was clearly not feasible. He could only save as many people as he could. After a while, Wang had rescued dozens of people, many apparently fast asleep, trapped and unable to escape. By this time, the scene had become somewhat chaotic, and the Wang family members had also rushed over. Wang immediately ordered, "Those with water-based spiritual roots, go put out the fire. The rest, follow me in to rescue those who have died." Ignoring the chaos and cries of loved ones among the mortals, Wang led them in. By the time the Liu family cultivators arrived, the fire had been contained and much of it had been extinguished. The Liu family water-based cultivators also unleashed their magic, completely extinguishing the fire. Wang initially declined the Liu family cultivators' invitation, while Wang Tu and a group of Yamen runners were counting the people and maintaining order. The number of people at the Qinjiantang County Yamen wasn't large, but neither was it small. From a distance, Wang spotted a disheveled figure rushing towards him and kneeling down. "Headmaster, my son is still inside." "My son?" Wang carefully identified him. It was his advisor, Wang. "Wang Xinghu?" Wang nodded. "Fuck." Wang cursed. "A top-grade spiritual root, just gone like that? Really?" Wang immediately calmed down. "Everyone, go in and search. Wang Xinghu, the son of Master Wang, must be found alive or dead." Looking at the Qinjiantang County Yamen, which had been 90% burned, Wang felt an inexplicable sadness. Rushing into the ruins, Wang carefully examined the area. Although they had rescued many people, many mortal bodies remained. After a thorough search, there was no trace of Wang Xinghu. "Why is this Zhao Xinghu so important?" someone asked. "Could he have been burned to ashes?" someone whispered. Wang ignored them. Only Wang Zimin, Wang Lin, Wang Tu, and Wang and his wife knew that Wang Xinghu was a top-grade spiritual root. He now suspected this was all a conspiracy. "Found it, found it." Two Yamen runners rushed over. Several people who knew about the situation followed them. Then, Wang Xinghuo's tiny figure was spotted hiding under a large tree, huddled up, likely frightened. Wang and his wife were the first to reach him and pick him up. Wang and the others breathed a sigh of relief. "I'm scared." Wang Xinghu, held tightly by his mother, his eyes etched with genuine fear. "Don't be afraid, don't be afraid." His mother, tears streaming down her face, also shed tears. Wang relaxed at this moment. He had so many tears here, he could use them to water his soul-devouring tree. But looking back, he saw the deafening cries of many of the Wang family members who had lost loved ones, and Wang suddenly felt truly heartless. "Dad, actually, last night, I saw my brother playing in the yard, and then something mysteriously caught fire behind him, and then it set the house on fire." A little boy, who was holding Wang's hand, whispered to him. "What did you say?" Wang suddenly shouted. "My brother was playing in the yard last night, and something mysteriously caught fire behind him, and then it set other things on fire," the boy said. Wang Xinghu curled up even tighter at this. Wang walked over. "Did you set the fire?" Wang Xinghu, now just a little over 4, dared not speak, simply turning his head away, not looking at Wang. Wang, on the other hand, was the same. A top-grade fire-type spiritual root truly was something special. He didn't stop Wang from teaching his son a lesson. Wang simply thought it was time to take Wang Xinghu back to the mountain. Otherwise, with his spiritual root just beginning to emerge, it would no longer be safe in the mortal world. Now he was alone at the mountain gate, and rebuilding the county town was a major undertaking. But Wang too could handle it. Wang gave him 500 spirit stones and took Wang Xinghu away. The county town was in ruins. Wang too contacted the surrounding villages, initially arranging accommodations for the people, and then began the reconstruction plan the next day. Wang Xinghu followed Wang back to the foot of the mountain, where they lived together. "From now on, you'll live here. I'll be your master." Wang Xinghu responded, unsure if this was a punishment. He actually didn't know why flames had appeared in his hands. After a sleepless night, Wang Xinghu simply watched Wang rise early, look around the backyard, and then head up the mountain. 2 more men arrived and took him to the nearby private school, where many students were descending from the mountain to attend classes. The day passed like this. Wang Xinghu, young as he was relatively well behaved in the morning, but in the afternoon, when he tried to play, he was watched. After class, many students gathered around him again. "I heard this is the supreme grade spiritual root," a 7-year-old child said. "I heard he was the one who set fire to the Qinjiantang County office," another child said. Curious, seeing strangers, Wang Xinghu hesitated to speak. 2 teachers arrived and sent the crowd away. One of the teachers took Wang Xinghuo's hand and led him out, ready to take him to Wang Da's residence. Then, Wang Xinghuo saw the group of children who had left earlier, each taking off on their swords, soaring into the mountain. They can fly. They can fly. Wang Xinghuo was amazed. Do you want to fly? The teacher asked. Yes, I want to fly too. Wang Xinghuo replied. The gentleman spoke to him earnestly. Yes, one day you will be able to fly, and you will fly better and higher than them. You will be the hope of your family. Wang Xinghuo didn't understand, but just kept looking at the children who were leaving in the distance, filled with envy. Chapter 180 Another top-grade spiritual route. Master, I want to go up the mountain, Wang Xinghuo said to Wang Da. Want to go up the mountain? Wang Da asked. Yes, I feel much more comfortable there, Wang Xinghuo said. There's spiritual energy there, but you're too young. If you force yourself to cultivate, you might damage your foundation, which would be detrimental to your future, Wang Da said. So, does that mean I'll be able to fly like them someday? Wang Xinghuo asked. If nothing unexpected happens, I should be able to. Wang Da hesitated and said. Wang Xinghuo, not understanding the meaning, simply walked out the door and headed for the private school nearby. The teacher took Wang Xinghuo's hand at the door. Wang Da also emerged from the backyard, but instead of going up the mountain, he headed towards the mountain gate. Sir, let's go. A little boy immediately flew on a sword, carrying Wang Da out. They arrived directly at the Kingentropy County office. The current Kingentropy County office is still the same location as the original, though it has been rebuilt. Nearby, there were houses under construction. The county town was bustling with people, and the streets had long since disappeared. At the gate, Wang Tu, Wang An, and others stood guard, along with a dozen or so 7-year-old children. How many of our disciples are gifted this year? Wang Da asked. 45, more than last year, Wang Tu replied. Wang Da nodded and turned to look at a nearby child. Wang Liu, your organization was excellent this time. Although you're young, you're capable of shouldering this responsibility. Thank you, clan leader, for the compliment. This is also everyone's credit, Wang Liu replied. Okay, I'll leave this matter to you. Report to me if anything arises, and don't act rashly. Wang Da said. Yes. Wang Liu replied. Let's get them up the mountain as soon as possible. Wang Da finished speaking, then took the list Wang Tu handed him and began to read it. 45 gifted disciples this year were unexpected. With the addition of these 45, the clan now had 60 members, bringing the total to over 100. Wang Da was certain the system would unlock new features, which was why he was a little anxious. With his previous experience recruiting disciples, Wang Da wasn't about to give up on anyone. Wang Zhou was still in his system, at the second level of key training, while the disciples who had entered the mountains with him were all at the first level. However, Wang Da wouldn't let his guard down. The lesson of Wang Zhu still resonated in his mind, so he asked Wang Si to send a message to Wang Liaoru, asking him to investigate their backgrounds. Wang Da had underestimated these disciples. Despite their youth, many were steady and mature, thanks to their literacy. He stayed at the Kingentropy County office for 2 days, waiting for Wang Liaoru's message and checking on the children. On the third day, Wang Liaoru's message arrived, stating that 4 of the disciples had problems. Without hesitation, Wang Da took the remaining 41 disciples up the mountain, abandoning the other 4. Congratulations to the host for expanding the family to 100 members. A gift of a genius with top-grade dual spiritual roots X1. There was actually a voice. It seemed that family members were something completely different from the others. Another top-grade spiritual root, but this time dual element, which surprised Wang Da. Wang Da had suspected immortal-grade spiritual roots, but he'd been a bit overly optimistic. Wang Liu, take them up the mountain, arrange accommodations for them, and familiarize them with the mountain environment. Don't bully them, understand? Wang Liu nodded. Don't worry, clan leader, I won't bully them. Yes. Wang Da gave a few more instructions, then had Wang Si take him back to the Kingentropy County Yamen. Inside, Wang Tu was clearly surprised to see Wang Da again. He hurried out to greet him. Clan leader, what else can I do for you? Wang Da glanced at him, then dismissed the nearby Yamen runners. I have an important matter for you to handle, and it's top secret. Wang Da said. Wang Tu glanced around, making sure he wasn't eavesdropping, before asking. What's the matter? We're looking for someone born today, 1 hour ago, Wang said. 1 hour ago? Wang asked. Well, there might be some differences. Order everyone born today within Conjentropy County to be found and reported to me, Wang said. Okay. Wang replied. Wang remained silent, and neither did Wang. They stared at each other, stunned for a moment. Go find them now, quickly. Wang said. Okay. Wang immediately left. Wang and his companions remained inside the county government office, awaiting news from Wang. Having spent the night sleepless, Wang, a mortal and elderly man, had gone to sleep in a village that morning. The yamen runners, exhausted from visiting every village, were also exhausted. Wang and his companions waited for 3 days before Wang finally returned, leading a group of runners. Dark circles under his eyes, his limbs weak, Wang clearly had given his all. Chief, here, this is the list of those born 3 days ago, but only 5 were born in the afternoon, and the time. Wang took the list. Thank you for your hard work. Leave the rest to me. You two should get some rest. Sir, let's go. Wang immediately flew on his sword, taking Wang with him, and flew to the nearest place according to the address on the list. Master Immortal. A young couple immediately knelt upon seeing Wang and a child enter. No need for formalities after the birth. Wang helped them up and asked Wang to test the newborn. Patriarch, there's no talent. Wang finished the test and put away the test stone. Without saying a word, Wang took him away, flying to the next location. Patriarch, this one doesn't have talent either. Wang said. Is this the last one? Wang asked. We've searched the list, and this is the last one. Wang said. Could it be that he's not within Conjentropy County? Could it be a member of the Wang family who left? Someone like Wang Zhou? Wang was deeply puzzled. The system had given a hint, so this person must be there, but where was he? The two returned to the Conjentropy County government office. Where's County Magistrate Wang? Wang asked. County Magistrate Wang's concubine gave birth today, and County Magistrate Wang hasn't come to the yamen all day, the yamen runner said. Give birth? Wang's face was filled with joy, as if his own wife had given birth. Let's go to County Magistrate Wang's house. The yamen runner, though puzzled, had no choice but to lead Wang and the others to Wang home. He hadn't expected there to be a delay. Perhaps it was a member of the Wang family who was no longer in Conjentropy. Wang mansion had long since burned to the ground, leaving only a few newly built rooms. While the rest were still under reconstruction. Wang arrived outside Wang mansion, but there was no bustle inside. It was clear the birth had already taken place. The clan leader has arrived. I'm sorry for not welcoming you. You're welcome. I'm here to test your child's talent, Wang said. Testing talent? Could it be with Wang? Wang's eyebrows lifted instantly. Wang nodded. Possibly. Without further ado, Wang immediately ushered Wang in. 4-2, go test him, Wang instructed, and Wang walked over. Wang rubbed his hands nervously. This is my third son. My 2 previous sons had no talent, and my 2 daughters also had no talent. Before Wang could finish his words, Wang interrupted him. Chief, it's a low-quality spiritual root. What? Wang leaned over. Confirm it again. Wang hurriedly tested it again. Chief, it's really a low-quality spiritual root. Wang sighed. Chief, it's okay. Fortunately, he has talent. My family can be considered a master. Wang was speechless. He was even more disappointed than Wang. Chapter 181, Wang Lin's child. Clan leader, where are we going now? Wang asked. Let's go back to the mountain first. I've already told Wang to keep a close eye on the children born during this period. Let's wait for news back up the mountain, Wang said. Wang then flew up the mountain on his sword. Soon, they were on Conjentropy Mountain. Wang Liu, has anything happened on the mountain these days? No, I've arranged accommodations for the new disciples who have come to the mountain. I'm just waiting for the clan leader to return and start teaching them about cultivation, Wang Liu said. Okay, let's start tomorrow. I'm a little tired these past few days. I'll go back and get some sleep. Wang said. Yes, Wang Liu replied. Wang was about to leave when Wang Liu turned back. Clan leader, A strange person came yesterday. Who is it? Wang asked. It was a woman with a child. She spoke very politely and said she was looking for clan leader Wang Lin. But since Wang Lin wasn't there, she refused to leave, so she had to wait at the foot of the mountain, Wang Liu said. A woman who came looking for Wang Lin? Wang asked, his first thought being the bamboo fairy. Wang Liu nodded. Where is she now? Wang asked. At the foot of the mountain. You should be able to see her when you return, clan leader. She seems to be a cultivator, too. We didn't dare let her in, so she said she was waiting outside. But she was holding a child, so she doesn't seem like a bad person, Wang Liu said. You can't judge whether she's good or bad yet. It's right not to let her in. Don't let anyone you don't know into the mountains, Wang replied, and headed down the mountain. Gazing from afar, he saw several people gathered near his thatched hut. He walked over and saw an exceptionally beautiful woman, dressed simply, holding a baby. Sitting next to his hut, she was coaxing the child. Wang, now extremely sensitive to babies, hurried over. This must be Senior Wang, right, the woman said, immediately standing up upon seeing Wang approach. I don't deserve the title of senior. Who are you, and what do you want from Wang Lin? Wang asked. My surname is Mu, and my given name is Yaoking. I'm an outsider of Yanling Pavilion, or what you'd consider a casual cultivator. I've come to Wang Lin to ask for a status, Yaoking said. A status? Wang stared intently at the child in her arms. Yes, this child is Wang Lin's, Yaoking said. Can you let me see it? Wang asked. Yaoking hesitated for a long time. Don't worry, if it's really Wang Lin's child, I'll make the decision for you, Wang soothed. Only then did Yaoking hand the child to Wang. Carefully cradling the child, unsure whether it was a boy or a girl, Wang pulled out a testing stone, intending to test it. He paused, then remembered he had no spiritual power, and handed the stone back to Yaoking. Release your spiritual power and activate it. You want to test my child's talent? She's only 4 days old, so the test can't accurately define it. Yaoking said. It's okay. Just follow my instructions. It won't affect the child anyway, Wang said. Although Yaoking was skeptical, she still activated her spiritual power. Her small hand rested on the testing stone. A blinding light shone forth, startling the two teachers nearby. Wang Xinghuo also hurried out in a hurry. Wang's face was filled with smiles. He was actually waiting for me here. When the light faded, Yaoqing covered her mouth in surprise. This. Top-grade dual-element spiritual roots, water and wood. Wang's smile was unwavering. Yaoqing finally realized what was happening and smiled. Don't worry, I've confirmed the child's identity. I'll take care of this matter for you. I guarantee you this status. From now on, you'll be the daughter-in-law of our Wang family, Wang said. Thank you, clan leader. Yaoqing thanked him and took the child from Wang's hands. You'll stay up in the mountains for the next few days. I'll arrange a place for you. When Wang Lin returns, I'll tell him, Wang said. He led her up the mountain and personally took her to Wang Lin's private courtyard. Yaoqing was in Conjentropy for the first time, and she was clearly unfamiliar with the area. She looked around, taking in everything. Wang turned and introduced them. This is Wang Lin's residence. You can stay here for now. Thank you. Yaoqing replied. If you need anything, talk to him. Wang pointed at Wang Liu and instructed Wang Liu. This is the wife of the Wang Lin clan leader, Wang Liu replied. The two left, and Yaoqing, holding the child, walked into the courtyard. She looked around. It was quite tidy, with elegant furnishings, a spirit-gathering array, and tables, though a bit cluttered. I just wanted to find a place to call home. I didn't expect the Wang family to suddenly become one of the Eastern Lords, and my daughter even possesses a top-grade dual-element spiritual root. Is there really such a thing as destiny in this world? Yaoqing shook her head. Before she gave birth, she had been hesitant about whether to come to the Wang family. Given the prestige and power of the Wang family now, would they still accept a low-level cultivator like her? Even if she bore Wang Lin's biological child? She was afraid the Wang family wouldn't accept her. She was afraid Wang Lin would be heartless and only care about Fairy Zuyu. She was afraid of many other things. But she came anyway, because Wang Lin was the official patriarch of the Wang family, and she wanted to give it a try. If she could truly enter the Wang family, wouldn't it mean she had truly made it? But what happened today had left her in a state of shock. Her daughter actually possessed top-grade spiritual roots, dual-element spiritual roots. How had Wang known that? Why had he taken out the testing stone the moment he saw her daughter? He was even said to be able to kill cultivators in the early stages of the Golden Core stage, truly extraordinary. Because Wang Liu had sent a message to Wang Lin yesterday, Wang Lin rushed back that evening. However, his conversation with Wang Liu had left him feeling overwhelmed. He didn't dare return to his own residence, but headed straight down the mountain to talk to Wang De. Wang De was in the courtyard tending to his spirit-devouring tree, and Wang Xinghuo was still at the private school, having not returned. Wang Lin walked over, and Wang De said SHH, then walked out after checking the formation. "Don't you want to marry the Jiao Qing?" Wang De asked directly. "I'm not a heartless person," Wang Lin replied. "But you are definitely a promiscuous person," Wang De replied. Wang Lin scratched his head, not daring to say more. "Your daughter has a top-grade spiritual root, a dual-element top-grade spiritual root," Wang De said. "What?" Wang Lin interrupted directly, surprised. "You are the clan leader now, don't make such a fuss, it's unmannerly," Wang De scolded. Wang Lin restrained his expression. "This matter is not up to you to decide. I have chosen this wife for you, and you will marry her on a chosen day," Wang De said directly. Chapter 182 Wang Lin is getting married. "No." Wang Lin refused with difficulty. "Why? You don't want a daughter with top-grade dual spiritual roots?" Wang De asked. Wang Lin hesitated, then spoke again. "Clan leader, I'll tell you the truth. I've actually talked a lot with fairies Huayao lately. She finally relented a few days ago and said she's willing to marry me. Now, for me to marry Yaoqing, wouldn't that be? Fairies Huayao is indeed quite good, and her cultivation is also high, but you're so promiscuous. Others have brought their children, and now you're telling me you don't want to marry her? Is this how you behave? Is this how you treat me as a member of the Wang family?" Wang De raised his voice and scolded. No, Wang Lin hurriedly explained. "I'm not saying I won't marry her. I know Yaoqing. Her cultivation is not high, and it's hard for her to get along. She has feelings for me, and she knows I have someone else in my heart. She's also said she doesn't mind. So what I'm saying is, wait until I marries Huayao, and then," Wang Lin said. This time, it was Wang De's turn to be stunned for a long time before answering. "Can you marry both?" "I don't know, but I'm not a heartless person. But I truly love Zuyu," Wang Lin said. "Okay, I'm not a rigid person, and I won't use my status to pressure you. If you can truly do it yourself, I'll let you do it. But if you lose this supreme grade dual element spiritual root, I'll cripple your cultivation and expel you from the mountain gate," Wang De said. "No, don't talk about crippling your cultivation, clan leader." Wang Lin was a little startled. "I'm not kidding," Wang De waved his hand. 1 month, just 1 month. If you can't handle it yourself by then, I'll help you and marry Yaoqing directly into the mountain gate. Well, actually, what I want to say is that regardless of whether my daughter has a supreme grade dual element spiritual root or not, I will definitely not abandon her," Wang Lin replied. Seeing Wang De leave, Wang Lin headed straight up the mountain. He wandered around the martial arts field for a long time, thinking for a long time, scratching his head. Wang Liu, who was nearby, had been planning to go to the training room to practice, but when he saw Wang Lin, he came straight over. "Clan leader Wang Lin, what's wrong with you? Don't mind my business. Go practice," Wang Lin said. "Oh," Wang Liu replied, and was about to leave. From a distance, he saw someone standing atop a tree, and he turned back. "Clan leader Wang Lin, your wife is watching you from the treetops." Wang Lin looked up and saw Yaoqing, standing atop a distant tree, watching him. Seeing Wang Lin looking at her, Yaoqing flew over. Wang Lin scratched his head awkwardly. "You don't want to marry me?" Yaoqing asked. Wang Lin didn't know how to face her, and he didn't dare to mention marrying 2 women. "Then I'll leave. I won't cause you any more trouble," Yaoqing said. "Don't." Wang Lin stepped forward and grabbed Yaoqing's hand. Yaoqing tried to shake Wang Lin's hand away, but her cultivation level wasn't as high as Wang Lin's, so she couldn't shake it off. "Don't you want to marry me? If it's just for our daughter, who has dual spiritual roots, I can let her go. I'll be satisfied if my daughter can have a comfortable life, unlike me, who has been wandering around like this," No, I want to marry you. Wang Lin pulled Yao Qing into his arms. Yao Qing punched Wang Lin's chest. What are you doing? There are people around. They are just kids. I'm not afraid of being seen. Wang Lin suddenly became serious. You. Yao Qing blushed slightly and tried to struggle, but her strength was very gentle. Wang Lin wasn't ugly, but he was a little overweight. I hadn't expected his skills in picking up girls to be so impressive. Wang De watched with fascination from a distance. He could ask for advice some other day. Wang De didn't bother them and walked down the mountain. As for the bamboo fairy, Wang De knew that Wang Lin could definitely win her over. If nothing else, it was just the current prestige of the Wang family. This change in attitude made Wang De feel uncomfortable with Zhu Yao fairy, but he was quite sympathetic to Yao Qing. However, this matter was Wang Lin's family affair, and Wang De didn't want to delve into it. A night later, Wang De headed up a mountain to begin teaching the new disciples. Wang Xinghe had returned to the private school, and with the two teachers present, Wang De felt comfortable leaving him with them. In the mountains, Wang Lin had left early. Yao Qing had also emerged early, holding the child. Did you go with him? Wang De asked. He told me to stay here with the child. Yao Qing replied. Wang De said nothing more, simply unwilling to discuss Wang Lin. He resumed his teaching, and Wang De paid no further attention to Yao Qing's whereabouts. Over the next few days, Yao Qing had become somewhat involved with the younger disciples in the mountains. Perhaps because she was a mother, she had developed a fondness for them. Another evening, Wang Lin returned. However, he didn't go up the mountain either, simply waiting for Wang De to come down. As soon as Wang De came down, he spotted a graceful figure beside Wang Lin. Patriarch Wang, you're honored. Fairy Zhu hadn't changed much, still looking petite. Perhaps it was because Wang Lin was so large that he preferred this petite woman. Long time no see. Wang De returned the greeting, and she was clearly a bit nervous. Wang De led the two of them out to the courtyard, where a small table and a few chairs were set. Patriarch, we've come this time to ask for your permission. Zhu and I. Wang Lin spoke succinctly, clearly assuring Wang De that he had Zhu secured. Patriarch, as you know, I have no living elders, so I can only ask you. Wang Lin spoke a lot, but he didn't mention Yao Qing, and naturally, Wang De wouldn't mention it either. He simply kept agreeing, leaving it to Wang Lin to handle it himself. The two chatted with Wang De and then headed back up the mountain. What was supposed to come would come anyway, and Wang De didn't know if Wang Lin had mentioned it. It wasn't until the next day, when Zhu and Wang Lin flew away together on their swords, that I had no idea what they had talked about the previous night. It wasn't until I reached the mountain and chatted with Wang Liu that I found out. The three of them had actually decided to get married by the middle of the year. That's right, 3 of them. Wang De was speechless, and could only admire Wang Lin's abilities. Marrying Wang Lin would have many advantages for the Wang family. After all, it would be 2 more people, even though Yao Qing would still have to take care of the children. But Zhu was a genuine 8th-level key training cultivator. Aside from Qin Yi and Wang Zi, no one in the clan could compare. So, from being only at the 7th level when Wang De last saw her, now at the 8th level, Zhu seemed quite formidable among the casual cultivators. As for Wang Lin, he had the best of both worlds. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 183 Board Wang Zimin. Clan Leader, there are some problems with the implementation of your proposal. Wang Lion reported to Wang De at the foot of the mountain. What's the problem? Wang De asked. The auction house has been renovated, but its effectiveness will depend on how it performs. Furthermore, Master Zimin has spent almost half of the over 100,000 spirit stones he saved up on the renovation. Furthermore, after 6 or 7 days of trial operation, not only have no one come to the auction, but even the number of people who come to look at it is very low. Master Wang Lin thinks everyone doesn't trust us. We've tried many methods, including acquiring rare items from the Zhao and Liu families, but no one's interested either. I doubt even if the auction house officially opens, it won't bring in much profit. Those rare items you're talking about are obviously not desirable to cultivators of higher cultivation, and unaffordable to those of lower cultivation. The main purpose of the auction house is to acquire items that are not available outside, items that are priceless. Do you understand? Wang asked. So how do we find these priceless items? Wang Liaoru asked. Wang patted Wang Liaoru's head. If we had them ourselves, would we still sell them? Of course, we'd sell other people's stuff. But that's the hardest part at the beginning. This issue of credibility is truly a major issue. If we can resolve this, business will flow in continuously, Wang said. Wang Liaoru didn't reply, her mind still mulling over. I sent a message to Liu Zixing earlier. The beast hunting mountains have just acquired a few beast cores. Go get them from Liu Zixing. This will be a good start to establish the auction house's credibility, Wang said. Anything you need to discuss with Wang Lin, don't act on your own, understand? Wang Liaoru nodded. Things are going okay over at Fengshan, but most independent cultivators are worried about the price. It's simply too high. There are only 2 cave dwellings for sale right now, but there are still many interested cultivators who simply don't have the spirit stones. If we could lower the price a bit. It can't be lowered. Selling 2 cave dwellings already cost 600,000 spirit stones, right? Buying 2 more would cost millions. Since there are buyers, that means my price isn't too high. Using future spirit stones now is a good option, so why not? Wang said. Then let's not lower the price. Selling all the cave dwellings at Fengshan will probably take a long time, Wang Liaoru said. Time isn't a problem, Wang said. What about the other places? Everything else is fine, except for the Wuxi mountain mine. We've sent people to investigate, and the mine has been drilled very deep. We don't think the cost will be enough to continue mining, Wang Liaoru said. Let's put that aside for now. Wang said. Just remember, don't be afraid to spend spirit stones. We're just starting out, and building a solid foundation is paramount. Wang Liaoru agreed and withdrew. Holding the accounts from various locations over the past 3 months, Wang carefully reviewed them. Small businesses with stable income and clear accounts represented a steady income from spirit stones. In Fancheng, Wang calculated that even the spirit stones distributed to the Liuanzhou cultivators barely made up any income. However, such a large place offered many ways to generate spirit stones. And the auction house Wang was currently experimenting with was just one example. If Fancheng could truly be stabilized, new attempts could be made. Spirit stones were resources. Without them, cultivation was impossible. Just like the Liu family, with so many key training 10th level cultivators, they lacked the capital to attempt the tribulation transcendence, the elixirs, magic weapons, and the vast quantities of spirit stones required. This was due to poverty. Therefore, possessing spirit stones was the only way to cultivate sufficient capital. When the Wang family cultivators ate spirit stones like candy, elixirs were readily available, and magical weapons were theirs. Wang believed the Wang family would rise. Heiji Market. Wang Zimin sat alone in a courtyard inside, a wine jug in one hand. Why were you sending me to a place like this? Wang Tao consoled him from below. This place is quiet, the income is stable, there aren't many major events, and there aren't any major incidents. There are shops run by various factions everywhere, and there are many independent cultivators, but most of them follow the rules. Master, I think this place is quite good. What the hell? You said I could stay with the family, but now you don't. I'm stuck here all day with nothing to do. It's really boring. Wang Zimin complained. It's not boring at all. I practice every day, and I think it's good. My cultivation has improved a lot recently, and I'm showing signs of a breakthrough, Wang Tao said. Wang Tao, you're still young, but you've made rapid progress, much better than Master. When I was your age, I was still at the first key training stage, but now you're almost breaking through to the third, Wang Zimin said. Master, don't be discouraged. You're not that old yet. If you practice diligently, you'll definitely reach the foundation establishment stage, Wang Tao said. Foundation establishment? Wang Zimin took a sip. I never thought I could reach it. I'm already 31. The older you get, the harder it becomes to cultivate. If I were a few years younger, I would definitely practice diligently. Master, your belief is so deeply ingrained. You have to believe the clan leader. If he says you can reach the foundation establishment stage, then I believe you will, Wang Tao said. Wang Zimin took another sip. He placed me here so I could practice diligently, but if I were Wang Lin's age, I would practice diligently too. and definitely strive to break through to the foundation establishment stage. Wang Tao didn't even listen to him when he saw him collapse. Wang Tao helped him up, carried him to the bed, cleared the table, and then left. He returned to his room and began practicing. The next day. Master, you're up. Wang Zimin patted his dizzy head. This Zhao family's spiritual wine is truly remarkable. Master, this wine is for sale. You drink so much every day, I feel like we're losing money, Wang Tao said. How much have I drunk? How can we lose money? Now all 4 of the Mulan sex shops here belong to us. What I drink isn't even a fraction of the daily sales revenue, Wang Zimin snapped. Those are still spiritual stones. Wouldn't it be better to use them to buy cultivation elixirs? Wang Tao whispered. Unable to argue, Wang Zimin tapped his head again. Wang Tao dared not say anything and followed Wang Zimin obediently. Wang Zimin left the room and then took Wang Tao out for another inspection. Apparently, they found nothing. Hejifang City was a peaceful place. Shops from all factions sent high-level cultivators to manage them, and he was merely given the title of manager. Wang Tao simply dealt with Wang Zimin and returned to his practice. Wang Zimin was truly helpless and could only activate the spirit-gathering formation and begin his cultivation. Chapter 184, Crossing the Tribulation. What's your name? Wang Da asked. Liu Meng, Liu Meng replied. Seeing a tribulation for the first time, Wang Da was extremely nervous. He'd been shocked by the little girl's demon transformation tribulation. Now, witnessing a cultivator's tribulation, he couldn't contain his excitement. Let's go. A cultivator's tribulation is different. If you get too close, you'll definitely be affected, Liu Zixing said to Wang Da. Wang Da nodded. Indeed, as he'd said, a cultivator's tribulation was different from a demon transformation tribulation. While heaven's laws were ruthless, they also treated all things fairly, with a certain balance for weaker alien beasts and demons. Therefore, for a cultivator, the difficulty of overcoming the tribulation was far greater than that of an alien beast's demon transformation tribulation. Wang Da and the others flew away. Liu Meng stood alone atop an ordinary mountain, swallowed a pill, and began to release his spiritual energy. A crimson spiritual energy began to surround Liu Meng, its scorching energy causing the surrounding air to slightly deform. 3 magical artifacts hovered in the air, each shrouded in a faint crimson spiritual energy. If we only consider the purity of this spiritual energy, it's enough to surpass that of the 10th level of key training. However, spiritual energy leaving the body is the hallmark of the foundation establishment stage, so this level of spiritual energy is still insufficient. Dozens of high-grade spirit stones instantly dissipated, transforming into spiritual energy that flowed into Liu Meng's body. Its spiritual energy surged to a new peak. In the distance, the spiritual energy has begun to change, Liu Zixing said. What will it become? Wang Da asked. Liu Zixing's gaze remained fixed on the distant mountain top. It'll turn fiery red, I guess. But that kind of spiritual energy has already surpassed a key training stage, where one needs to use the body as a carrier to unleash magic. It forms an independent entity, controlled from outside the body. Liu Zixing frowned deeply. I've seen it once, but it's a pity. Wang Da patted his shoulder. Cultivation is never smooth sailing. There are gains and losses, but the price is the loss of life, and the gain is increased lifespan and strength. Liu Zixing nodded without saying a word. In the distance, dark clouds began to gather, slowly gathering. Even from such a distance, Wang Da could see beads of sweat on Liu Meng's forehead. His expression was one of intense concentration and intense focus. The dark clouds in the sky had finally coalesced, and the mere time it took was terrifyingly long. Bang! The first bolt of lightning descended, piercing the air and striking Liu Meng's forehead. Passing through his forehead, it shot straight to his danshan. Liu Meng's hands trembled slightly as he absorbed the force of the thunder tribulation. His spiritual energy surged in a frenzy, and the thunder power of his danshan began to flow through his entire spiritual energy. Wang Da and the others could clearly see the pale red spiritual energy deepen, gradually calming down from its turbulent state. It's over, Liu Zixing sighed. The first heavenly tribulation is the most crucial. If you can't absorb and strengthen it, it will be almost impossible to survive the rest. Wang Da listened, silent. The increasingly refined spiritual energy indicated that Liu Meng's chances of surviving the tribulation had increased significantly. The second thunder tribulation began to fall. Liu Meng raised his trembling hands once more, and thunderous force descended from them. Liu Meng's entire body seemed to be tinged with strands of white lightning. His spiritual energy surged once more, its color deepening. However, unlike the first time, this thunder tribulation had significantly dissipated his spiritual power. Thunderous force could strengthen his spiritual power, but it could also cripple it. If his spiritual power completely dissipated, he would surely perish, as each thunder tribulation became more powerful. With his trembling hands, Liu Meng picked up another spirit stone from the side and absorbed it all. The spiritual power of the spirit stone was different from the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. It was a much faster energy to absorb, absorbing it almost instantly. However, it took time to convert it into spiritual energy. Before Liu Meng's tribulation, he had absorbed dozens of high-grade spirit stones, boosting his spiritual power to peak condition. But what he absorbed now was clearly not sufficient for the next thunder tribulation. The third thunder tribulation struck without hesitation, like the merciless laws of nature. Liu Meng couldn't raise his hands, his spiritual energy still raging. A nearby magic weapon began to tremble increasingly, emitting a fiery red glow. With a ripping sound, the magic weapon hovered above Liu Meng, directly withstanding the impact of the thunder tribulation. This magic weapon was used too soon. Liu Zixing sighed. It's only the third heavenly tribulation. Wang, on the other hand, didn't feel bad, but there wasn't much he could do at this point. 90% of the magic weapon's spiritual energy had dissipated, leaving only a faint glow. Liu Meng didn't try to control it, simply continuing to replenish his spiritual energy. His hands moved slowly. The fourth thunder tribulation directly shattered the magic weapon, injecting most of its force into Liu Meng's body. The magic weapon could withstand 1.5 thunder tribulations, but its purpose had come to an end. The spirit stones Liu Meng had absorbed earlier were only now showing the slightest sign of converting into spiritual energy. The fifth thunder tribulation directly shattered the second magic weapon, turning it into nothingness. A small portion of its force was injected into Liu Meng's body. Liu Meng shouted loudly, and the spiritual energy within his body accelerated its conversion, seemingly reaching a peak state again. The sixth thunder tribulation struck. The third magic weapon, also the strongest, was unable to withstand the force of the thunder like the previous two. It couldn't even block a small portion of the force. Liu Meng's recovered spiritual energy took on this thunder tribulation head-on, and his body immediately began to tremble, as if he was about to fall. 3 more. Without a magic weapon, absorbing more spirit stones will be of no use. Liu Zixing seemed to foresee the outcome. He vividly remembered the last time an elder in his clan had endured the tribulations. He had withstood the first 3 and only began to use magic weapons at the 4th. He hadn't shown any signs of discomfort until the 8th thunder tribulation, but the 8th had completely sapped his spiritual power. When the 9th thunder tribulation struck, he perished instantly. Magic weapons are only auxiliary, after all. After the 6th thunder tribulation, ordinary magic weapons simply cannot withstand it, Wang said. In the final analysis, it's simply because we're a small clan. We can't find high-level magic weapons or high-quality elixirs. We don't have the experience of our predecessors, and Liu Zixing said confidently. No, we are a big family, a family that aspires to rule the East, Wang said. Liu Zixing was surprised and looked forward without saying a word. The 7th thunder tribulation fell, and Liu Meng resisted it with all his might. The spiritual power in his body had completely dissipated, leaving only a trace of pure spiritual power, floating in the air, lively, jumping, and violent. The spiritual power is released, it seems that he has reached the foundation building stage. His Danshan must have absorbed enough thunder power, but there are still 2 thunder tribulations. I don't know how to resist it now. Liu Zixing said, looking at Wang again. Wang didn't say anything, still looking forward. The 8th thunder tribulation was about to fall. Liu Meng looked up at the sky and shouted. He muttered something, and his whole body began to show a semi-keratinite appearance. Mountain moving technique. The sound was powerful, but it did not cause any waves. Chapter 185 Zhao Ju's marriage proposal. Liu Meng sat in the front row as usual. Is this a bodybuilding technique? Liu Zixing was surprised. He knew the bodybuilding techniques in his clan, but he had never seen one so strong that it could withstand the 8th thunder tribulation. Yes, I asked him to practice it. This mountain moving technique is only a low-level bodybuilding technique, but it's definitely more than a level stronger than the ones passed down in your family. Before he faced the tribulation, I sent him to the beast-hunting mountains for training. His body was already strong enough, and with the training he'd received, he must have achieved great success. However, this wasn't enough. I was still worried he wouldn't be able to withstand the effects of the mountain-moving technique, so I gave him a manual. As Wang finished speaking, he saw Liu Meng swallow another pill in front of him. Control power. Liu Meng began to channel the remaining spiritual energy within him. With a boom, Liu Meng suddenly stood up, raised his hands, and a powerful wave of energy emanated from his body. What is this? Liu Zixing was shocked. This is the power control technique. It can briefly enhance a cultivator's physique, speed, strength, and spiritual power. However, his spiritual power has long since dissipated. This doubly strengthened physique should be enough to withstand the final blow, Wang said. The final thunderbolt struck. Everyone stared intently. The bombardment continued, but it did not harm Liu Meng at all. I actually succeeded. I really succeeded. Liu Meng unexpectedly flew directly towards Wang and Liu Zixing on his sword. An elder of the Liu family nearby was also surprised and delighted. I've seen the old patriarch and other ancestors of the Liu family overcome tribulations, but I've never seen anyone so energetic and flying after this. This is all thanks to Patriarch Wang. Liu Meng bowed deeply to Wang. Wang simply smiled. I, Liu Meng, was able to successfully establish my foundation thanks entirely to the determined support of Patriarch Wang. I'll treat the 6-year agreement as a joke. From now on, Patriarch Wang, whatever you command, I, Liu Meng, will support you without hesitation. Liu Meng's excitement was evident on his face. Okay. But don't get so excited. This power control technique will weaken you for a while after using it. You'd better recover your spiritual power quickly. Wang replied. Yes. Liu Meng replied, and immediately sat cross-legged to recover. Wang had only come to see his achievements. Now that he had finished, there was no need to keep them, so he gave another order. Seer, take me back. Wang Si, who was standing by, quickly flew back with Wang on his sword. Back at his residence, Wang looked at his empty contribution without much emotion. This power control technique, which Wang had also exchanged from the system, had clearly surpassed his expectations. Although it only provided a short-term boost, Liu Meng had been able to withstand the 9th heavenly tribulation without suffering any damage when using it, demonstrating its immense value. The most important contribution now is to elevate the cultivation of those within his own faction. Although Liu Meng is a member of the Liu family, the Liu and Wang families have a close relationship. Furthermore, Liu Meng's mother is also a member of the Wang family. Wang has already made the Liu family a part of his own faction. 3 days later, Liu Meng flew to the foot of Conjentropy Mountain to pay a visit to Wang. Wang continued his daily routine. While he was already adept at teaching these new disciples, the task was complex and kept him busy. Wang chatted with Liu Meng for a while before sending him to Fancheng. While Fancheng currently had enough people, it lacked a foundation establishment cultivator, making it unstable. Although Liu Meng had just entered the foundation establishment stage, the 2 techniques he had given him to cultivate, mountain moving and power control, had significantly improved his combat abilities. His presence in Fancheng would undoubtedly facilitate the work of Wang Lin and Wang Liaoru. After Liu Meng returned to the Liu family, he brought his family and children with him to Fancheng, apparently intending to stay there permanently to help Wang maintain security. Wang also felt deeply that the Liu family cultivators were all straightforward, unlike the Zhao family cultivators' affectations. Just as he was thinking this, he saw 2 people approaching his small hut on flying swords. A closer look revealed it to be Zhao Ju. Beside him stood a delicate woman, seemingly young, who bore a resemblance to Zhao Ju. Her eyes were filled with heroism, and she held a branch shimmering with an extraordinary light, evidently also a magical weapon. Old Zhao. What brings you here? Wang quipped with a half-smile. Zhao Ju, upon hearing this, had something on his mind, but didn't know how to begin. If you have something to say, just say it. There's no need to be so formal between our 2 families, Wang said. Let me introduce you first. Zhao Ju pointed to the woman next to him. This is my sister, Zhao Yun. She's the daughter of my second uncle, and my grandmother's granddaughter. You're honored, Patriarch Wang. Zhao Yun bowed slightly, lowering her head and nodding, a hint of allure. Wang returned the greeting, unsure of its meaning, and said nothing more. Please sit down first. Zhao Ju said to Zhao Yun, and then pulled Wang De to the side. Wang De was still confused, so he followed Zhao Ju to the side. Zhao Ju leaned over and whispered to Wang De, "I came here this time to propose marriage to you." Ah! Wang De's old face flushed, and he didn't know how to respond. "This is not what I meant, but what my grandmother meant. She said that you're 18 years old now, and it is the right age for marriage, so she wants to betroth her granddaughter to you to form a happy marriage." Zhao Ju said reluctantly. It was not that he was reluctant for his sister to marry Wang De, but he felt a little embarrassed to say this. Wang De was speechless. How could this world of cultivating immortals also not escape the fate of this so-called blind date? Seeing his speechless look, Zhao Ju spoke again. "You've seen her before. If you don't like her, just refuse. It's okay. I'll explain to grandmother. When it comes to marriage, it's all about mutual affection and understanding of each other's personalities, not forced pairings." Wang De flatly declined. It wasn't that Zhao Yun wasn't good-looking, but rather that he had a natural aversion to the so-called blind date format. "Okay, then I'll go back and tell grandmother. I'm just afraid she'll come to you and tell you later," Zhao Ju said. "I believe grandmother is a reasonable person," Wang De had no choice but to say. The two of them reached the front again. Zhao Ju walked over, ready to take Zhao Yun away. However, Zhao Yun didn't leave immediately. Instead, she asked, "Does Patriarch Wang dislike me?" "Of course not." Wang De was surprised by the girl's directness and quickly explained. "Why is that?" Zhao Yun asked. Wang De smiled. "The young lady's looks are, if not 1 in a million, then at least 1 in 1,000. I have nothing to say. However, marriage isn't something that can be forged on a single encounter. We don't know each other, and our personalities and dispositions are unrelated." Zhao Yun, after hearing Wang De's words, didn't lose her temper, but instead retorted. "Patriarch Wang is right, but we've only met once. How can you know that we're incompatible, that we have different personalities?" This left Wang De speechless. "But seeing your awkwardness, I know you and I are incompatible. Now it's not that you don't like me, but that I despise you." Zhao Yun finished, then soared back on her sword. Zhao Ju and Wang De were speechless and frozen in place. "Please forgive me, my sister has been spoiled since she was a child," Zhao Ju said. "No problem, no problem. As a girl, I understand why she needs some respect," Wang De replied. Zhao Ju left awkwardly, and Wang De, without getting angry, went back to his business. Chapter 186 Mid-Year Meeting. Wang Lin's wedding banquet lasted 3 days in full swing. The 7 major clans, including the Zhou family, unexpectedly sent congratulatory representatives. Liu Zixing and Zhao Ju also arrived. Even the Sun family, long absent from the three-family site, unexpectedly sent 2 9-year-old children to offer their congratulations. Wang De hadn't paid much attention to the Sun family's affairs, but he knew that Zhao Ju often sent people to keep an eye on them. Now, they heard that things were on track, with Sun Xiaoxiao, a foundation establishment cultivator, at the helm, so they weren't too surprised. As the official head of the Wang family, Wang Lin naturally attracted much attention. As the witness, Wang De played a role in everyone's enjoyment. Wang Lin had invested heavily in this wedding banquet, and the event was quite grand, leaving both wives clearly delighted. This was a major event for both Wang Lin and the Wang family this year. Wang De took the opportunity to see everyone's return and review the progress made over the past 6 months. Everyone gathered in the main hall. Wang Ye, Wang Tao, and the others were now considered the pillars of the Wang family. Wang De glanced at the crowd, his eyes filled with satisfaction. Wang Ye and Wang Tao were both already at the 3rd level of key training. Even Wang Zimin, who hadn't broken through in a while, had reached the 7th level. According to Wang Tao, Wang Zimin achieved this breakthrough while drinking. The Zhao family's spiritual wine was incredibly effective. Ultimately, the principle remained the same: as long as there was spiritual energy, whether drinking alcohol or eating meat, it would enhance one's spiritual power. Would the Wang family still be short of these elixirs and spirit stones? Wang Liaoru, however, was dedicated and reported the family accounts one by one. Fan Chang's revenue is 670,000 spirit stones, paid at the beginning of the year, covering the year's expenses. The 8 small businesses generate 150,000 spirit stones. Heiji Market generates 37,000 spirit stones, plus our own shop sells the Zhao family's elixirs, spirit wine, and other items, and the Liu family's exotic animal furs, meat, and other items. Our Wang family's commission is approximately 13,000 spirit stones. The crops grown in Mushong haven't been harvested yet, so we'll leave that aside for now. Fengshan sold 6 caves for a total of 1.8 million spirit stones, but that comes with 80 years of usage rights. And the auction house is now back on track. Although there was no revenue in the past 6 months, the auction of 7 beast pills brought in 960,000 spirit stones. Wang took the output account and reviewed it, finding no issues. Then there's the investment, Wang Liaoru continued. The auction house renovation cost 80,000 spirit stones, and the previously purchased courtyards cost 150,000 spirit stones, for a total of 230,000 spirit stones. The numerous cultivators from the Liu and Zhao families of Fanchang receive monthly spirit stones, totaling 270,000 spirit stones for 6 months. The construction of the Fengshan cave residence cost 20,000 spirit stones. The personnel input from 7 or 8 small businesses, including a significant number of low-level cultivators from the Liu and Zhao families, totaled 40,000 spirit stones. The personnel input from Heiji Market cost 7,000 spirit stones. And the purchase of foundation establishment pills for Liu Meng cost 200,000 spirit stones. Wang took over the account and examined it for a long time. He saw many problems. Isn't Heiji Market's revenue 50,000? After deducting 7,000, it should be 43,000. Why is it only 35,000? I only received 35,000. Wang Liaoru obviously knew the inside story and didn't say much. Wang Tao was a little embarrassed on the side. Wang Zimin saw that everyone was looking at him, and said directly, I spent a lot. I drank a lot of wine that I was going to sell, and I also bought pills and some other things. Wang Da was speechless. In Heiji Market, there are only you, Wang Tao and 2 Liu family cultivators guarding it. After half a year, the 2 Liu family cultivators only have 1,500 spirit stones each. Wang Tao has 1,000 spirit stones, and you have 3,000 spirit stones for yourself. Isn't that enough? Moreover, the cultivation base of those 2 Liu family cultivators is higher than yours. I just don't want to go to Heiji Market. I have nothing to do every day, so of course I have to spend spirit stones. What's more, the family has so much income now, so even if I spend a few thousand more spirit stones, it won't have much impact. Wang Da knew that Wang Zimin was not a person who spent spirit stones recklessly, and was very frugal. He thought Wang Zimin was a little inflated before, but after hearing this, Wang Da guessed most of it. You just want to come back? Wang Da asked. Yes, if you let me come back, I'll be fine with just 100 spirit stones a month. If you keep me in Heiji Market, I might spend even more, Wang Zimin said. The family is in need of people right now. If you come back, I won't give you a single spirit stone. How about that? Wang Da asked. That won't work. I need elixirs to maintain my cultivation, and I have other basic cultivation needs that you can't fail to meet, Wang Zimin said. Wang Zimin protested Wang Da's decision in this way, and Wang Da was helpless. No, then you can continue to stay in Heiji Market. I'll give you 10,000 spirit stones in the second half of the year, and you can spend them as you please, Wang Da said. Clan leader, Wang Da, I beg you, I really don't want to stay there anymore. Wang Zimin instantly gave in. No, your cultivation is low now, and you're old. If you don't cultivate well, I really won't be able to support you in the future. Wang Da said. Wang Zimin wanted to say more, but Wang Da waved his hand to stop him. He continued to look at the accounts. He then looked at Wang Zi again. Wang Zi was a little flustered. I have been practicing during this period, and I feel that there are signs of breakthroughs, so I have been a little lazy, but I did not withhold the spirit stones. I know you did not withhold the spirit stones, but you are older than Brother Zimin. It's strange that you haven't broken through after such a long time. I will give you an extra 1,000 spirit stones every month. Practice hard. In the second half of the year, you must strive to break through to the 8th level of key training. Wang Da said. Wang Zi nodded. Thank you, clan leader. I am only 1 year older than Zimin. I estimate that I should be able to break through in the next few days. Wang Da continued to look through the accounts, and when he saw the back, he turned directly to Wang Lin. Wang Lin did not panic, but smiled a little embarrassedly. Clan leader, you know, I have no choice. I have 2 women to coax, and I have to hold a wedding banquet. I didn't save many spirit stones before. So there is no way. I know that most of the expenses for the wedding banquet were spirit stones, and I asked Liao to deduct them. You told me you were going to hold a wedding banquet? Wang asked sternly. You withheld 50,000 spirit stones. You should know that a sacred mountain with planting can only make a profit of 50,000 spirit stones a year. You have withheld 50,000 spirit stones in the past 6 months? If your cultivation had improved, I would not say anything. I would distribute the spirit stones to you like my subjects without any surprise. But whether you have improved in cultivation or not, you don't have a single magic weapon. You have so many things on your body. Wang said. Clan leader, I really lack spirit stones. Let me calculate it for you. It costs a lot every month for the children. They are jealous of each other, so I bought them a lot of things. As the clan leader, I have to show off, right? Then I manage Fancheng, and I have to make friends with people from all over the place. All expenses are necessary. As the clan leader, I also have to go around to gather information, pay attention to the movements of the 7 major sects, and I have to go out and spend money. The 7 major sects have challenged us twice in the past 6 months, so we naturally don't want to lose face for the Wang family. We also need to take care of the servants and other cultivators when we go in and out, right? Wang Lin argued. Everyone was speechless. Chapter 187 Wang Liao only wants Wang Lin. Wang Lin, go ask Liu Zixing. Those 50,000 spirit stones are enough to cover the expenses of the entire Liu family, hundreds of people, for several months. Wang was rather helpless. I know, but our Wang family doesn't need those 50,000 spirit stones right now, Wang Lin continued to argue. Besides, all my expenses are generating a profit, so it's not wasted. What kind of profit? Wang asked. Most of the profit isn't immediate. This is a long-term strategy. But there is one benefit that is extremely beneficial to us. It showcases our Wang family's wealth and builds credibility. Isn't the clan leader going to develop various businesses in Fancheng in the future? If we establish sufficient credibility, everything we do will flow smoothly. If I, as the clan leader, were to be timid about spending, others wouldn't trust us. Take the auction house, for example. My actions are to show them that we have no shortage of money. Putting items up for auction is safe, optimal, and won't be taken away. Wang Lin said. Besides the beast callers, has the auction house generated any other profit in the past 6 months? Wang asked. Not yet, but you have to believe me, it will only get better from now on, Wang Lin said. Honestly, Wang was somewhat persuaded by his words. There was some truth to what he said. If the head of the Wang family was so timid about spending, then the others wouldn't be so willing to hand over their treasures to the auction. But Wang Lin certainly had his own selfish motives. 50,000 spirit stones spent in 6 months was no small sum. And that didn't even include the money he had given himself. Liao, what do you think? You're also in Fancheng, Wang asked, turning to Wang Liao. I don't know much about the ways of the world, but Master Wang Lin is indeed very busy in Fancheng, with no free time at all. The auction house has had a few sales in the past 2 weeks, but it was just a small one, nothing major, Wang Liao said. Don't employ a person you doubt, and don't doubt a person you employ. Wang trusted Wang Liao's judgment, as well as his own. Although Wang Lin was a connoisseur of all things gluttony, whoring, and gambling, Wang had faith in his abilities, having a beautiful woman bear him a child and marrying another beautiful woman of high cultivation when the Wang family was still a small clan. Privately, Wang asked Wang Liao if he could make the decision and become clan leader, but Wang Liao refused. Wang also suggested that if Wang Zimin or Wang Zi had gone to Fancheng instead, Wang Liao would have refused as well. Wang now believed that Wang Lin was right. He truly had the ability to govern Fancheng perfectly, a major source of income. Okay, I'll trust you for now. If income increases in the second half of the year, I'll accept a little more spending from you, Wang said. Don't worry, I'll definitely manage Fancheng well, Wang Lin agreed. What about Liu Meng in Fancheng? Wang didn't continue. With Liu Meng here, things are much easier for us. With a foundation establishment cultivator in charge, solving various problems will obviously be much easier, Wang Liao said. Wang listened and continued to look at the accounts, finding nothing amiss. He flipped through the pages and looked at Qin Yi again. When did you break through? At the beginning of the year. The beast hunting mountains are clearly a perfect fit for me. I feel like I'm bursting with strength, Kenya said. The family isn't short of spirit stones these days. If you need elixirs or anything like that, just let us know, Wang said. I don't really need spirit stones. 200 a month is enough. I prefer fighting. I think my demon devouring technique has improved a lot over the past 6 months, Kenya said. Besides, I'm in the beast hunting mountains and don't do any work for the family, so buying and selling beast elixirs isn't a big deal, and I wouldn't dare take too many spirit stones. 500 spirit stones a month, maybe? You need healing elixirs with constant fighting. Even though you're my disciple, you're just like us, Wang said casually. Thank you, Master. Kenya said casually. The account issues were sorted out one by one, and Wang showed some tolerance for them. After everyone left, Wang summoned Yao Qing and Zhu Yu to the main hall. Firstly, he wanted to understand Wang Lin's situation. Secondly, since they had just married into Wang Lin's family, they were now considered members of the Wang family. As the head of the Wang family, he naturally needed to understand them. Both of them were clearly somewhat reserved. Zhu Yu didn't have the casualness she had previously shown towards Wang, and Yao Qing was even more so. She was only at the 4th level of key training, and it was truly a mother's privilege to be with her son. After chatting with them, Wang naturally decided that Zhu Yu, with her higher cultivation level, would accompany Wang Lin to Fencheng and help him manage it. Yao Qing, on the other hand, wanted her to stay with the family and take care of the children. Wang was generous with his monthly spirit stones, giving each of them 800 spirit stones. Yao Qing was naturally delighted, while Zhu Yu simply expressed gratitude and offered more pleasantries. Although both were independent cultivators, Zhu Yu's higher cultivation level and independence seemed to have no shortage of spirit stones, clearly placing her greater value on the Wang family. Yao Qing, being more knowledgeable about social matters, had the upper hands in their conversation. However, she was clearly short of spirit stones, so she took Wang's words more seriously. All I had to do was stay home to look after the children, plus 800 spirit stones each month, why not? Everyone stayed home for only a few days before leaving. Even so, Wang continued as usual. The spirit-eating tree in the courtyard had only grown slightly in the past 6 months. At this rate, it would take decades for it to bloom and bear fruit. Wang sat in the courtyard for a whole day. Did he really have to wait 20 or 30 years? But it seemed that was indeed the case. Time passed day by day. Wang was quite annoyed. The tree was growing so slowly. Elder Jin came several more times, carefully observing it and telling Wang that it was growing at a speed invisible to the naked eye. He also comforted Wang, telling him not to give up easily, or else his efforts would be wasted. A few days after Elder Jin left, Wang came up the mountain again. First, he came to give Wang 2 bottles of mortal tears he had purchased, each half full. These were ordinary mortal tears. Secondly, he was still holding his son. Ever since witnessing his son's birth and having his test results reveal his talent as a minor spiritual root, Wang had been overjoyed, eager to have him cultivate immediately, so he could have a son who would be a master. So, he brought him to Wang, who only perfunctorily said a few words. Then there were Wang and his wife, who came to visit Wang Xinghuo. Seeing his parents, Wang Xinghuo naturally cried and said he wanted to go back, but he was worried about flying like the other children first, so he was extremely conflicted. Wang and his wife naturally consoled him, offering words of encouragement. Seeing that Wang Xinghuo lived alone with him, with 2 male teachers nearby, Wang asked Mrs. Wang to temporarily stay at the private school nearby to care for Wang Xinghuo. Chapter 188 Wang Zi's Man. Master, you've finally broken through to the 8th level of key training, Wang said excitedly upon seeing Wang Zi emerge from the inner room. This breakthrough is quite slow. Ziman has already reached the 7th level. If I don't break through, he'll really catch up to me, Wang Zi said. Of course, Master Ziman can't compare to you, Master. You are the one with the highest cultivation level in our Wang family, Wang said. The one with the highest cultivation level is clan leader Wang Zi said. Doesn't clan leader have no cultivation level? Wang said. Don't you say that nonsense, Wang Zi interrupted. Wang immediately withdrew. Wang Zi packed up and flew out of the residence with several female cultivators from the Wang family. Yeah, you stay here and watch. Make sure nothing goes wrong. I'll take them to inspect other areas. Wang responded. Wang Zi led the others to inspect several other small properties. These 7 or 8 small properties were handed over to Wang Zi. Although the income from these places was not high, they were stable, and Wang Zi was just the right person for the job. I have been in seclusion for so many days and have not visited many places, so I have to go. 3 days later, Wang Zi came back and found that everything was peaceful and there was no major incident. There was only a small obsidian mine where 3 mortals died due to some accidents. Wang Zi has seen a lot of such things in the past 6 months. Yeah, nothing happened here in the past 3 days. No, but that man is here again, Wang Ye said. When Wang Zi heard this, she walked inside. Since you divorced me, why do you come to me so many times? I will not go back with you. Bakan looked flattering. I really want to take you back. As the saying goes, a husband and wife for a day are bound by 100 days of grace. A husband and wife for 100 days. Bakan, how shameless are you? I've already told you, since you divorced me, there's no need to come back. Although Wang Zi was timid and submissive, she was no fool. She had been away from the Bull family for over 4 years, and he hadn't come back for the first 4 years. But now, he's back, surely because he sees the Wang family's influence rivaling that of the 7 great clans? I was foolish back then. Now I've divorced all those women, leaving you alone. Bakan continued. Wang Zi ignored him, walked inside, and closed the door. Bakan had no choice but to come out, earning a cold stare from Wang Ye. He pulled out his sound transmission talisman and sent a message. Dad, she doesn't agree. I've been here 5 times, and her attitude hasn't changed at all. If you don't bring her back, don't come back yourself. You're responsible for your own mistakes, a voice from inside said. Bakan couldn't leave this place, and now he couldn't return home, and Wang Zi ignored him. He flew off to the side, to Liangsing Tower. He stayed there for 5 or 6 days, spending all his spirit stones before preparing to return. Inside Wang Zi's room, the person in charge of Liangsing Tower, a cultivator from the Zhao family, reported the situation. Bakan stayed here for 6 days and 5 nights. Wang Zi received the message and burst into tears again. This was Bakan's first visit, and Wang Zi was tempted, just to see if he had truly changed, if he was as he claimed. However, there was no change. After all, a day of marriage is 100 days of love. And Wang Zi had no desire for revenge, just to let go of all ties from now on. After Bakan returned to the mountain gate, he naturally lied profusely. As one of the major families in the east, the Bo family was one of the top forces in the region, besides the 7 major sects. But no matter how powerful they were, they couldn't compete with the 7 great sects. The Wang family was now incredibly powerful, and while the Bo family wasn't afraid, they didn't want to create any rifts. After all, Wang De, capable of single-handedly killing a giant and cultivator, was enough to intimidate them. That's why Bokin went looking for Wang Zi. Wang Zi was cultivating in her room when she heard a commotion outside and hurried out. She saw several new family cultivators and several Wang family women lying on the ground. A man stood in midair, wielding a flying sword and glaring furiously. I have no intention of harming anyone today. I simply demand that you hand over the thief, Wang Ye. Wang Zi looked up at the voice. A shudder trembled in her heart. How could such a man exist in this world? His imposing presence was undeniable. His majesty and dominance were unmistakable. Even his glaring eyes couldn't conceal his extraordinary aura. After a long moment of recovery, the man called out again. Is there anyone in charge? Come out and answer. Wang Zi finally realized what was happening. She had lived for over 30 years, and she had never felt such a thrill. I am the one in charge. May I ask who you are? What brings you here? Why did you hurt them for no reason? How old? Wang Zi wanted to ask how old they were, if they were married, but she stopped herself immediately. She realized that she now seemed to be on the opposite side of him. Seeing that Wang Zi was a woman, the man replied softly, lightening the mood slightly. My name is Wu Xin. I'm here only to find that thief, Wang Ye. These people stopped me for no reason, so I took action. Wang Ye is my disciple. How did she offend you? Wang Zi asked. Wu Xin saw Wang Zi staring at him, feeling a little uncomfortable. She injured my son the other day and killed my nephew. Oh, you have a son? Wang Zi asked subconsciously. Wu Xin was baffled. Whether I have a son or not is none of your business. Since Wang Ye is your disciple, hand her over immediately, or I'll be rude to you. Wang Zi came to her senses and flew back. Wang Ye, knowing she'd gotten into trouble, hid inside, afraid to come out. Wang Zi pulled her out. "Tell me, what happened?" "The day before yesterday, I was out with Wang Mo and the others when we ran into a group of guys who tried to bully us. Their cultivation wasn't high enough, so we couldn't defeat them. So I attacked them, and I killed 2 of them," Wang Ye said. "I've spoiled you so much? You're so brazen about killing people." Wang Zi was furious. "They bullied us first." Wang Ye continued to act so confidently. Wang Zi was so furious she raised her hand and slapped her. Wang Ye glared at her, afraid to speak. Wang Zi looked up into the air. "This is my disciple's fault. We're willing to pay any compensation you ask for." "Compensation?" Wu Xin sneered. 2 lives, how can you possibly pay for them? "Today, I'll take her life for hers." Although Wang Zi felt it was Wang Ye's fault, she was so protective of her that she wouldn't let him hurt her. A sword came down, and Wang Zi protected Wang Ye and fought back. He retreated repeatedly, knowing he was no match for her. The opponent's cultivation was clearly much higher than his own, and he had held back a little in the previous attack. Chapter 189 Defeating the 10th level of key training. Wang Zi waved her hand and spoke immediately. "We are members of the Congentropy Wang family. Although I'm no match for you, you killed one of our Wang family members, so you'll have to think about your future." Knowing he couldn't defeat him, Wang Zi directly used his family's reputation, hoping to intimidate him. Wu Xin was momentarily stunned, but his rage only intensified. "I don't care if you're from the Wang or Li family, even if you're from the Mulan sect, I'll make him pay for his life with mine." Boom. Another blow landed. Wang Zi, knowing this one was no more powerful than before, rolled over, picked up Wang Ye, and dodged. Everyone fled in panic. This place was small, so Wang De hadn't sent the more advanced Liu family cultivators. Only Wang Zi, who had just broken through to the 8th level of key training, scattered. Wu Xin, relentless, pursued Wang Zi and Wang Ye. Wang Zi couldn't hand over Wang Ye at this moment, and she couldn't defeat him. She had previously sent a message to Qin Yi, but it was clear he couldn't arrive so quickly. Fortunately, this location wasn't too far from the Beast Hunter Mountains, so the only option was to fly in their direction. In mid-air, they intersected. Wu Xin naturally knew the current strength of the Wang family. Wang Zi was clearly heading west, clearly seeking help, so he couldn't let her escape. With incredible speed, Wang Zi blocked Wu Xin's sword, only to be struck by a palm strike. Wang Ye's grip slipped, and she herself fell. Seeing Wang Zi injured, Wang Ye was anxious, but with Wu Xin coming towards her, she could only fly away. How could a mere 3rd level key training cultivator escape the pursuit of a 10th level key training cultivator? Just as the sword was about to fall, a beast's claw stopped Wang Ye. "Qin Yi, you're finally here." Wang Ye nearly cried. Qin Yi held Wang Zi, who had fallen earlier, in his arms and handed her to her. "Keep an eye on your master. Give her a healing pill." Wang Ye responded, tightly hugging Wang Zi and flying away. Wu Xin was astonished. This man, seemingly only at the 6th level of key training, could easily withstand his attack, truly baffling him. "Senior, I understand the situation. This is our Wang family's fault. We will pay whatever compensation you demand, but you can't take the life," Qin Yi said bluntly. Though Wu Xin was surprised, he didn't respond and attack directly. Qin Yi easily dodged, not daring to face the blow from a cultivator at the 10th level of key training, but countered with even greater speed. Wu Xin panicked, instantly sensing a threat. A crisscross of 3 spiritual energies formed into a sphere, bombarding him before exploding. Wu Xin swung his sword, only to see Qin Yi, in half-beast form, charging towards him from behind. He was struggling to find an opponent to practice his higher-level demon-devouring technique, and now was the perfect time. Sparks flew from claws and flying sword, their strength evenly matched. Qin Yi flexed his left and right hands, firmly pinning the flying sword. Wu Xin was just marveling at the opponent's strength when he saw his fangs bared, and a furious roar sent him reeling. "You're quite good. Even among 10th level key cultivators, you're considered experienced in combat," Qin Yi praised heartily. This statement infuriated Wu Xin even more. He, a 10th level key cultivator, was being so overpowered by a 6th level cultivator. This statement made him feel even more ashamed of his own cultivation. Spiritual energy surged in his hands, and Wu Xin shouted, "All things wither." Instantly, countless corrosive water droplets drifted into the air. A slight burning sensation etched even Qin Yi's claws, leaving them black. Qin Yi was slightly surprised. This technique was clearly of a high level. Few of the 10th level key cultivators he had fought had such powerful techniques, and they were water-based. If that's the case, then I'll try out my senior brother's technique. Qin Yi's lips curled slightly. With a flick of his finger, dual-element spiritual energy of water and fire instantly surged out, transforming wisps of mist into a cloud. It actually worked. I never thought I could use Zhao Senzi's magic. A torrential downpour of raindrops mingled with the water spray unleashed by Wu Xin. A tangled fusion of spiritual energy successfully blocked the water's continued attack. Qin Yi moved, attempting to control the clouds again, but only rain could fall. He couldn't summon thunder. It seems I'm still inferior to my senior brother. Seeing his magic blocked, Wu Xin struck again. A flash of cold light shattered the clouds above. 4 jets of water rose from the ground, piercing Qin Yi. Qin Yi dodged left and right, but was caught on the 4 jets. Wu Xin swung his sword, aiming for a fatal strike. Qin Yi roared, scattering the jets. The demon-devouring art reached a new level. This time, Qin Yi's fangs bared his jaws, his claws like steel. I can't maintain this state for much longer, but I'll definitely be able to finish you. Wu Xin, enraged by the mockery, swung his sword forward, ready to engage. The two forces clashed. Qin Yi, now in this state, directly broke Wu Xin's flying sword with his claws and swung a claw towards Wu Xin's chest. The powerful force shattered Wu Xin's defenses and struck his internal organs. Falling, Wu Xin was powerless to fight back. My master said that we must uproot the grass at its roots. Don't blame me, Qin Yi said. Wu Xin didn't beg for mercy, nor did he show any fear. He only hated himself for not being strong enough to avenge his actions, allowing these traitors to live in this world, traitors who killed people and then uprooted them. Stop. Wang Zi called out to Qin Yi from a distance. Master Wang Zi. Qin Yi stopped his claws from swinging, retracted his form, and transformed into a normal human. Wang Zi and Wang Ye slowly approached. This wasn't his fault, it was Ye's fault. Now they're trying to kill him. I feel uneasy. Wang Zi said. But he's a cultivator at the 10th level of key training, after all. If we don't kill him, it will definitely leave a huge hidden danger in the future. Besides, Master said. Qin Yi said. Wang Zi had already walked up to the two of them. Let me tell him. Wu Xin shook his head. What are you talking about? If I don't die, I will absolutely kill you, the Wang family, for revenge, and I won't stop until I'm dead. Look, he asked for death. Qin Yi said. Wang Zi shook her head. This was our fault in the first place. If we kill him, wouldn't our Wang family be unkind and unjust? No, I can't listen to you on this, Qin Yi interrupted. Qin Yi, you. Wang Zi was a little anxious. You must listen to me. Then how are you going to deal with him? Qin Yi asked. Don't worry about it, just leave it to me. Wang Zi said. Qin Yi didn't ask any more questions, but this man's cultivation was quite high and he was a threat. After leaving, Qin Yi sent a message to Wang Lin to explain the situation. However, Wang Lin was busy in Fancheng and didn't pay attention. Then he felt that the matter was not too big. Besides, Qin Yi had already defeated him, and Wang Zi was an adult, so she would handle it herself. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 190 Returning from Study. Clan Leader. Half a month ago, Liu Shan of the Liu family successfully passed the tribulation, and 10 days ago, Liu Zufang also did so. Now, the Liu family has 3 cultivators in the foundation establishment stage, Wang Si reported to Wang Da. What about the others? Wang Da asked. Liu Qing and Liu Hong failed their tribulation and perished instantly. Liu Zai was struck by the final tribulation and, while he survived, sustained damage to his danshan. He'll likely remain at the 10th level of key training for the rest of his life, Wang Si said. They lack strength, their bodies aren't strong enough. Even with a mountain-moving technique and the power control technique, they can't withstand the tribulation. I tried to persuade them before, but they refused to listen and took the risk. It seems Liu Meng has set a bad precedent for them. Wang sighed. Out of 6, 3 successfully passed the tribulation. A 50% success rate is quite high for a small clan like ours, Wang Si said. Are we a small clan? Wang Da asked in return. Wang Si was stunned. No. Like the Mu Lin sect, 99% of those who cross the tribulation succeed, but we only have a 50% chance. Wang Da casually remarked, ignoring the question. Although he had tried to persuade them, the Wang family and the Liu family were still a fine line apart, incomparable. While he was discussing with Wang Si, snowflakes began to fall outside. Another year had flown by like a fleeting moment. The year had just ended, and everyone had just left. Business in Fancheng was booming, and Wang Lin had fulfilled his promise. Wang Da had come up with many ideas over the past 6 months, such as this academy plan. It was his top priority. The world of immortal cultivation had always been one of mastery and apprenticeship. But Wang Da, drawing on his past life's experience, founded the first Immortal Cultivation Academy in Fancheng, called the Conjentropy Immortal Cultivation Academy. In essence, it was a disguised sect, but with less power and organization and more exploitative nature. It was a simple point. The reason individual cultivators failed to achieve success was because they took too many detours. By the time they truly understood the path of cultivation, they had already missed the optimal time for cultivation. Wang Da had Wang Lin dispatch someone to revise some basic cultivation knowledge, clearly categorizing it for the benefit of these independent cultivators. As long as you pay us spirit stones, we'll teach you, and we'll teach you fundamental, accurate cultivation techniques and knowledge. It's undeniable that Wang Da's thinking resonated closely with reality. Many independent cultivators didn't want to join a sect and face the restrictions, but they also wanted proper guidance. With mortals and immortals coexisting in the East, there were many talented mortals everywhere, leading to an even greater number of independent cultivators. The establishment of the academy system offered them an ideal destination, and there were no concerns. However, the fees were high, making it unaffordable for some independent cultivators. Wang Da wasn't worried, however. There were plenty of independent cultivators without a master, and there were just as many with advanced cultivation. Several other plans had been shelved due to staffing constraints and hadn't been implemented. However, in the second half of the year, the auction house and the academy alone had contributed over 1 million spirit stones to the Wang family. While there were certainly significant expenses, it was ultimately profitable. Wang Da emerged from the house and headed back to the backyard. The soul-devouring tree had clearly not grown much, remaining in its budding state, unchanged. With a sigh, Wang Da prepared to ascend the mountain. 3 figures flew over from the horizon. Wang Da looked up, seeing Wang Xiaozhen, whom he hadn't seen in a long time. Wang Xiaozhen was now 10 years old, and had changed considerably, though his height remained the same. He immediately presented Wang Da with a generous gift. "Master, why are you back?" Wang Da asked. "Master Yangliu said he had nothing left to teach us, so he asked us to return," Wang Xiaozhen said. Wang Da glanced at the two, feeling somewhat relieved. "You've completed your studies. Good, not bad." He then glanced at the little girl beside them, curious. Wang Xiaozhen quickly introduced them. "This is my junior sister, Zhao. She said she wanted to visit Conjentropy, so I brought her along." Wang Da smiled, saying nothing more. As they ascended the mountain with the 4 of them, many of the new disciples clearly didn't recognize Wang Xiaozhen and Wang Dan. However, Wang Liu and his group of 9-year-olds clearly knew each other. Wang Xiaozhen was a senior who had gone up the mountain with Wen Tao and the others, and Wang Dan was even more so. However, he was quite curious about the little girl behind them. Wang Xiaozhen and Wang Dan were also quite curious to see how Qing Entropy had changed so much, and they followed Wang Liu and the others around for a stroll. They stayed in the townhouse for a day. The next day, Wang Da summoned the 3 of them to a location in the mountains. He wanted to test their current abilities. Since Zhao Yangliu had allowed them to return, refining basic elixirs should be no problem. "Clan leader, senior brother Xiaozhen has learned better than me. Although I know all the methods for refining second-grade elixirs, I've never succeeded. Even with first-grade elixirs, I occasionally fail, and the success rate is low," Wang Dan said truthfully. "Now, I have about a 90% chance of refining first-grade elixirs. I've also occasionally succeeded with second-grade elixirs, and basic elixirs are no problem at all," Wang Xiaozhen said. "Oh. Is he really that skilled?" Wang Da said, a little skeptical. Zhao Yangliu was only a second-grade alchemist, So how could Wang Xiaozhen, after just a few years, actually be able to refine second-grade elixirs? Patriarch Wang, senior brother Xiaozhen is right. Master said that senior brother Xiaozhen is very talented, and even the older brothers can't compare to him, Zhao interjected. Then show me. Wang Da was quite curious. First, refine a furnace of basic elixirs for me to see. Wang Da asked Wang Xi to prepare the herbs, and Wang Xi went straight up the mountain. Soon, he flew down again, accompanied by Wang Liu, and poured out a large amount of spiritual herbs, spiritual medicines, and some basic alchemy materials such as red essence from his stored ring. Wang Xiaozhen was very excited, but he felt that he was an expert, so he asked Wang Dan to refine a furnace first. Wang Dan naturally didn't dare to refuse, so he took out an alchemy furnace from his stored ring. Wang Da saw the alchemy furnace, and he felt a little unhappy. Can this even be called an alchemy furnace? Master has many disciples and not many spirit stones, so these alchemy furnaces are all discarded by our senior brothers, Wang Dan replied. Wang Da scratched his head and gave Wang Liu a message. Send a message to Wang Zimin, tell him to send someone to procure 2 second-grade alchemy furnaces and return them immediately. Wang Liu quickly sent the message. Not long after, Wang Tao arrived on a flying sword. Hejifang market was not far from Kingentropy, so it wouldn't take long. Clan leader, master is cultivating, so he sent me to deliver them, Wang Tao said. He then saw Wang Xiaozhen, quite surprised, and the two of them exchanged a few words. Wang Da handed the 2 alchemy furnaces to Wang Dan and Wang Xiaozhen. Use these from now on. Thank you, clan leader. Wang Dan was delighted. Alchemy furnaces ranged from low quality to high quality first and second grade, with prices varying widely. This second-grade alchemy furnace required at least 18,000 spirit stones. Even Master Zhao Yangliu used a second-grade furnace that had been used for decades and lacked the spirit stones to replace it. Wang Da naturally had no idea of the furnace's quality, he only knew that the Wang family was wealthy and wanted the best for maximum efficiency. Wang Dan mastered the process easily, and a wisp of flame slowly formed. Preheating alone took half an hour. Chapter 191 Alchemy. Wang Da waited anxiously, as did Wang Tao, Wang Liu, and the others. Only Wang Xiaozhen and Zhao seemed to be acting normally, showing no signs of anxiety. Then came the first ingredient. Once placed in the furnace, Wang Dan focused intently. Refining just this first ingredient took 2 hours, and then he moved on to the second. Wang Da pulled Wang Xiaozhen aside and whispered, "How long does it take to refine a full furnace of elixir?" "For a first-grade elixir, about 5 or 6 hours, Wang Xiaozhen said. Wang Da was slightly surprised. 5 hours, that's a whole day. But Wang Da went back to call a halt, leaving them to wait patiently. However, when the third ingredient was added to the furnace, it exploded. Wang Da felt discouraged, looking at the brand new second-grade furnace and feeling he had failed the clan leader. "Clan leader, I failed." Wang Da consoled him. "It's okay. It's a new furnace, and it's normal to be unfamiliar with it. It'll be fine." Wang Xiaozhen and Zhao, standing nearby, offered guidance. "You didn't control the refined medicinal liquid properly, so the third herb only impacted the second." Wang Da was confused, but didn't bother interrupting. After the three of them finished their discussion, Wang Xiaozhen resumed his preparations. "Brother, these herbs are expensive. They're all used to refined second-grade elixirs. You can't waste them," Wang Liu said. Wang Xiaozhen was excited. "Don't worry, this second-grade furnace is much better than the one I used before. My success rate should be at least 30% higher." "You're just bragging." Zhao poured a basin of cold water on him. Naturally, Wang Xiaozhen wasn't convinced and immediately set to work. Wisps of flame rose, clearly purer than Wang Dan's. Atomized gas slowly rose as Wang Xiaozhen preheated the furnace. He was preparing to refine a second-grade elixir, but the preheating time was similar to Wang Dan's. Wang Dan knew it would take a long time. Since it was getting late, and he needed to sleep every day, he naturally left the job to Wang Tao and Wang Liu, who would wake him up whenever he succeeded or failed. Watching Wang Xiaozhen refine the elixir, Wang Tao became so intrigued that he didn't even want to go back to Hejifang market. He slowly fell asleep. It wasn't until the next morning that Wang Da woke up and had a good sleep. He walked outside to find Wang Xiaozhen still sitting there, with several people asleep beside him. Only a small child stood there. "Xinghe, why don't you go to the private school?" Wang Da asked casually. I think this looks good. Wang Xinghuo was 5 years old now, and he had changed a lot since last year. Wang Da saw that he was interested in refining the elixir, so he didn't interrupt him. He then looked at Yaoking, who had come down from the mountain at some point. I saw them gathering here, so I came to see what was going on, Yaoking said casually. Wang Da smiled and said nothing, then woke Wang Tao and the others. This alchemy is so boring. I practice every day without falling asleep, but I fell asleep watching him make the elixir for me, Wang Tao complained. Wang Liu did the same, rubbing his eyes and waking up Wang Xi next to him. Wang Xiaozhen continued on. Yao Qing was curious, but after watching for a while, the child started crying and flew away. Wang Liu couldn't stand it anymore. Seer, call me when it's done. I'll go up a mountain and watch them practice. Wang Xi responded, and Wang Liu left. Wang Tao wanted to see the elixir, but he didn't want to leave, nor did he want to stare at them, so he followed Wang Liu up the mountain. 2 teachers from the nearby private school came out, seeing the fire and joining in the fun. But they only watched for a while before leaving. Wang Da was bored, but Wang Xinghuo was the only one who remained, staring intently. Looks like it's done. Wang Xinghuo suddenly shouted. Then, with a whoosh, Wang Xiaozhen finally withdrew his spiritual power. Everyone gathered around, and Wang Xi even shouted towards the mountain. The alchemy furnace was opened, and 3 plump and round pills appeared in the middle, with 5 or 6 shrunken ones beside them, and the rest were just medicine residue. Only 3 pills were left, not bad. Wang Xiaozhen boasted. What kind of pill is this? Wang Da asked. Master, this is peeling powder, a pill that assists in cultivation, 2nd grade. To take this kind of pill, you need to have at least 50% of key training. It can accelerate the absorption of spiritual power and soften spiritual power. Wang Xiaozhen said. Not bad. Not bad. Wang Da praised sincerely. The others also felt it was impressive and praised it one after another. Wang Da next to him felt that he was not doing well and did not dare to say much. Only Zhao came out to spoil the show. Not bad, isn't it? You used one of each of the 5 herbs. If you were to buy them outside, it would cost at least 2,000 spirit stones, but you only get 3 finished pills. The best finished spirit cultivating powder sold out there costs only 500 spirit stones each. 3 pills only cost 1,500 spirit stones. You need at least 4 finished pills to recoup your investment. You're so capable, why don't you try making 2nd grade pills? Wang Xiaozhen retorted. Zhao fell silent for a moment, clearly unable to succeed at refining 2nd grade pills herself. As the others gathered around Wang Xiaozhen while they were talking, Wang Xinghuo, holding the alchemy furnace Wang Xiaozhen had just used, was pushed out. He felt incredibly happy, and nameless fire ignited in his hand. He threw it into the furnace again. But the furnace lacked spiritual energy and could not be opened, and Wang Xinghuo's nameless fire vanished. Recovering, Wang Xinghuo was shocked to discover he had created flames again. At that moment, Wang Xiaozhen pushed through the crowd and approached Wang Xinghuo. Your name is Wang Xinghuo? Wang Xinghuo nodded. How did you know I was going to succeed? Wang Xiaozhen asked. I had a feeling you were going to succeed, so I told you. Wang Xinghuo, who was shorter than Wang Xiaozhen, looked a bit intimidated. A top-grade fire-type spiritual root, as expected, has a strong affinity for fire, Wang Xiaozhen said. Wang Xinghuo saw Wang Da approaching and hurried to his side. Master, I want to play with that, too. Wang Xinghuo pointed at the alchemy furnace. That's not for playing, it's for refining elixirs, Wang Da replied. Then I want to refine elixirs, too, Wang Xinghuo said. Wang Da smiled. You want to refine elixirs, too? Wang Xinghuo nodded. Sure, but you have to wait another year. After you turn 6, you can start practicing. Once you have spiritual power, you can refine elixirs. Why does it require spiritual power? I see he just lights a fire, then adds grass, stirs, and it's done, Wang Xinghuo said. Wang Da's smile widened. It looks that way. But it's not really like that. Wang Xiaozhen approached. Master, let this junior brother try. Wang Da looked at him, stunned for a moment, then said to Wang Liu beside him. Go and get another batch of herbs. Clan leader, do you really want him to refine the elixir? Wang Liu was puzzled. Let him try. After all, the Wang family is rich now, so they don't care about 1 or 2 herbs. Wang Xiaozhen said. Wang Liu had no choice but to run up. Chapter 192, Single-Handed Pill. Soon, another batch of herbs was taken. Wang Xiaozhen took them and explained them one by one to Wang Xinghe, telling him which to put in first, which to put in later, and how each needed to be refined into a medicinal liquid before it could be combined into an elixir. Wang Xinghe only half understood, but he listened intently. Wang Xiaozhen shook his head. "I'll control the cauldron, you." "No need," Wang Xinghe refused. He felt nothing as the flames in his hand flared. Whoosh! The flames in Wang Xinghe's hands grew even stronger. The power of the flame startled even Wang Dan, who also possessed fire power. Bang! The flame surged even more intensely, seemingly reaching the sky. "What's he doing?" Zhao asked Wang Xiaozhen beside him. "I don't know," Wang Xiaozhen was also perplexed. The next moment, Wang Xinghe performed a move that stunned everyone. He placed all the herbs on his burning right hand. Instantly, the 5 herbs burst into flames, yet they were not consumed by the powerful flames. The flame, imbued with human-like wisdom, bypassed the 5 herbs, encircling them in 5 different directions. Without any preheating, the intense power of the flames transformed the 5 herbs into spiritual liquid in just half an hour. This forced refinement demonstrated absolute control over the flames, a feeling none of them possessed. A supremely high-grade fire-type spiritual root, a true prodigy, born with extraordinary powers. Wang Xinghe possessed no spiritual power. The 5 balls of spiritual liquid remained suspended solely by the upward force of the flames. Wang Xinghe immediately regained control of the flames in his right hand, weakening them slightly. The 5 balls of spiritual liquid fell into Wang Xinghe's hand. Seizing the opportunity, Wang Xinghe simply squeezed them with force. Instantly, unparalleled flaming power erupted from his hand, even more powerful and pure than before. Then, he kneaded, pressed, and rubbed them. This. Wang Xiaozhen was stunned. What did this mean? The fusion of the spiritual liquid into the elixir was the most crucial and time-consuming process. The flames must be neither too large nor too small, carefully controlled, and the fusion must proceed slowly. His forced fusion showed he had absolutely no knowledge of alchemy. The flames dissipated, but Wang Xinghe still held his hand tightly. Everyone stared intently. Only Wang Xiaozhen, Wang Dan, and the other 2 didn't look, as if they had already guessed the outcome. Wang Xinghe opened his right hand, revealing 7 plump pills. "This is peeling powder." Wang Da, curious, picked one up and sniffed it. It's fragrant and rich in spiritual energy. It's clearly a finished pill. Upon hearing Wang Da's words, Wang Xiaozhen and the other 2 hurried over. Let me see, let me see." Wang Xiaozhen took one from Wang Xinghe's hand, held it in his hand, and sniffed it, his face awestruck. This is actually peeling powder. He actually refined a second-grade pill with just his right hand. Peeling powder. Wang Xiaozhen was stunned. Zhao and the other 2 came closer, testing it again and again. The others, though unsure of the details but also guessing a lot, simply stared at them in amazement. "How did you do that?" Wang Xiaozhen asked. "How did you do it?" "I just think you're going too far. I think this direct approach will suffice," Wang Xinghe said. Wang Xiaozhen was speechless. Wang Xinghe's words completely overturned the alchemy he had learned for several years. The great way is simple, the great way is simple. Wang Xiaozhen seemed to understand something, but couldn't figure out what it was. Wang Da only saw him wandering in the mountains for a long time, until dawn and dusk. He didn't even see Zhao off when she left. Then he kept refining the elixir, trying for a long time and many times. Wang Da acquiesced and asked Wang Liu to provide him with medicinal herbs, and he would grant his request. After all, if the Wang family wanted these herbs now, they could buy them. Wang Xinghe, on the other hand, did not show any signs of abnormality. He went to the private school every day to attend classes and got along well with the 2 teachers. Until one day, Wang Xiaozhen came down and found Wang Da. "Maybe I just don't have the talent," Wang Xiaozhen said. Wang Da smiled. "Compared to the people in your village, are you considered untalented?" "No, they're all just ordinary people," Wang Xiaozhen said. "Of course. Perhaps to them, you're just like ordinary people, but these ordinary people still live the same lives, they still struggle. Those in the village want to live in the county town, those in the county town want to." Wang Da lectured. "So, be yourself. If you can't figure it out, you can teach him first, Then let him teach you. If you can't learn, don't dwell on it. Everyone is different. High talent doesn't guarantee extraordinary achievements, and low talent doesn't guarantee inability to achieve extraordinary things. Wang's eyes nodded. The master and disciple chatted for a long time, until noon. Wang Da sent the two of them to Miss Han, and they weren't the only ones. Wang Da had previously selected 7 talented disciples from his family, with both wood and fire spiritual roots, at least of the lowest grade. There was also one with both fire and wood spiritual roots. Wang Da had let him take the risk and cultivate both. Fortunately, with Qin Yi's experience, the disciple was fine. Wang Dan and Wang Xiazhen were delighted to see their apprentice become their master. They led the 7 of them to Miss Han. Firstly, they wanted to keep an eye on the Zhao family members there, and secondly, to teach them alchemy, as well as the types of spiritual herbs and herbs needed to be cultivated in the mountains. They had the final say. Before leaving, Wang Da generously exchanged 2 books from the system, unavailable for purchase elsewhere. One was Basic Alchemy Strategies. Despite its unassuming name, it contained a comprehensive guide to alchemy, covering everything from refining elixirs, blending, using medicinal ingredients, and the properties. They had already studied under Zhao Yangliu for years, and with this addition, they were sure to reach even greater heights. The other was Zhang's alchemy recipes. Wang Da had also spent considerable time browsing this book within the system. It contained various elixir recipes from 1st to 3rd grade, including 36 commonly used ones, 11 less commonly used ones, and 4 rare ones. These recipes varied in efficacy and usage. Some of the common elixir recipes in the book were ones Wang Da had seen daily, while others he had never even heard of. The two took the 2 books and set off on their journey to Miss Han, where they would reside permanently. Wang Da looked back at the mountains and clicked on the system. Family locations: Qingentropy Mountain, Miss Han Mountain, Fengshan Mountain. Family patriarch: Wang Lin. Family size: level 5. Family rank: bottom tier. Family members: 101. Family contributions: 7,328. Family reputation: 8,912. He then clicked on the family size. Family size level 1, increases all family members' cultivation speed by 1. Family size level 2, increases the spiritual energy density of all family locations by 1. Family size level 3, increases all family members' comprehension by 1. Family size level 4, increases all family members' luck by 1. Family size level 5, increases the spiritual root strength of all family members by 0.5. Family points: 37,481, 50,000. Sect protection formation plus 3,000. He didn't know how the system recognized the points. 7 or 8 small properties weren't recognized, which was fine. Fancheng and Hejiafeng City weren't recognized as family locations either. Only the 2 sacred mountains were recognized by the system. Some of the new things built in the mountain, some spiritual objects purchased, plus the other 2 mountains, only have more than 30,000 points, which is far from enough for upgrading. Chapter 193 Soul Devouring Tree. In the territory of the God-destroying sect, a ginkgo grove. A man and a woman walked through the rustling trees. "Dad, won't the humans here attack me?" Wang Xiqing asked. "The Wang family is now as famous as the 7 great sects. You and I are both Wang family members. As long as they don't notice the demonic aura in you, nothing will happen," Wang Zuzi said. As he spoke, several more disciples of the God-destroying sect descended from the trees. "Who are you, and why are you returning from the desert?" Wang Zuzi bowed. "We are from the Qingentropy Wang family. Something happened within the clan, so we went to the desert and are only now returning." The disciples looked at each other. "State your names first. You can only cross the border after we confirm your presence," the disciple said. Although they were guarding the border, they wouldn't interfere with ordinary cultivators entering or leaving the desert. But since the person before them was a Foundation establishment cultivator, they had no choice but to question him. "Wang Zuzi, this is my daughter, Wang Xiqing," Wang Zuzi asked. Several disciples relayed their message, and soon, it reached Wang Lin, far away in Fancheng. Wang Lin was quite curious. He naturally knew about Wang Zuzi, but he had previously learned from Wang Da that Wang Zuzi lived in the desert. The disciples of the Destroying God sect allowed Wang Zuzi to pass, and Wang Zuzi successfully entered the Eastern Territory. "Master, can I start practicing in another month?" Wang Xinghe asked. Yes, Wang De replied. He looked up at the sky. Snowflakes were falling again. Another year had passed. Master, what kind of tree is this sapling? Wang Xinghe asked. A soul-devouring tree. It contains my cultivation, Wang De said helplessly. It had been over 2 years since he planted this soul-devouring tree. But the tree had truly shown no regard for him, now only a sapling. Would it really take 20 or 30 years for it to mature into a tree? Wang De was extremely depressed, and his temper grew even more furious. Since Master's cultivation is inside, why not just destroy it and then retrieve it? Wang Xinghe asked. You don't understand. This thing must be cultivated in order to return my cultivation, Wang De said. Wang Xinghe uttered a no. Leaving the courtyard, he sought out Wang Liu, preparing his cultivation path for a month. Wang De continued to sit in the room, brooding. Alone, staring at the soul-devouring tree before him, Wang De entertained the same thought as Wang Xinghe, to forcibly destroy it, hoping to restore his cultivation. Unfortunately, he feared that if he truly destroyed it, he might never regain his cultivation. He watched alone all day, then gradually fell asleep, spending the night in the courtyard. The next day, he woke up feeling the same way. Now, he truly didn't have the energy to even venture up the mountain. Unconsciously, the corners of his eyes flushed. A tear fell. He thought of the next 20 or 30 years, unable to recover his cultivation. He would remain immortal, slowly aging. The tear fell, transforming into a tear crystal. Wang De wiped his eyes, carefully looking ahead. His own tear crystal. Slowly drifting toward the soul-devouring tree, it began to slowly fuse on its branches and fall. Wang De was startled. The 3 young leaves, already few in number, were now beginning to wither and shrivel. Wang De was overwhelmed by this. He tried to reach out. But the tiny sapling had completely withered, reduced to a dead branch. Wang De was filled with despair. His tear crystal had completely destroyed the work he had been doing for over 2 years. He cried out in disbelief, but there was nothing he could do. That evening, Wang Xinghe returned from outside and saw Wang De still in the yard, but he didn't dare disturb him. The next day, the same thing happened. The third day, the same thing happened again. Wang De's despair returned, and now he had to accept it. It was his fault, and he had to take responsibility for it. Perhaps it was his own lack of resolve, perhaps it was his own fragility, that had shed these tears of despair, leading to the tree's despair. Wang De stood up and walked outside. He saw 2 figures flying towards him in the distance. He looked closely and saw Wang Zuzi, whom he hadn't seen in a long time. Why are you back? Wang De asked, a little dejected. I came to tell you some news, Wang Zuzi said. News about the soul-devouring seed, Wang De asked, suddenly perking up again. What news? A quick way to break the seal for you, Wang Zuzi said. Are you telling the truth? Wang De was overjoyed, his emotions surging in that moment. Yes. Wang Zuzi looked at his daughter. His 15th aunt is a close relative of Master Wood. She had been training in the central region a few days ago. When she returned from the central region, she learned about you and told us some unknown secrets about the soul-devouring seeds. We came to find you as soon as we knew about them. Wang Zuzi finished speaking, then pulled out a bag and handed it to Wang De. Wang De took the bag and looked at it. It contained a white substance. What is this? The excrement of the soul-devouring beast. If you plant the soul-devouring seeds, water them with this excrement, and add the catalytic energy of the demonic spirits of similar demonic species, they will quickly grow in 3 or 4 months. Wang Zuzi said. A demonic species similar to the soul-devouring beast? Where can we find such a species? Wang De asked. It's not difficult. My daughter is one of them, so I brought Psyking here. I only learned from her 15th aunt that the soul-devouring beast, the Wood Lord, and my wife are actually from the same clan, Wang Zuzi said. But I just shed a tear of despair and completely withered the soul-devouring tree. I wonder if it's still possible, Wang De asked. It should be possible. Let's try it first. If not, we'll go back and ask her 15th aunt, Wang Zuzi said. Okay. Wang De couldn't hide his excitement. I apologize for being disrespectful to you before. Wang De bowed. Wang Zuzi waved his hand. I understand. We are all members of the Wang family. Wang De was speechless and hurriedly carried the feces into his own courtyard, where the formation had been set up. He sprinkled some. Wang Psyking cautiously entered from the outside. Don't worry, The area around here is full of mortals. Even if you release demonic energy, they won't notice. Besides, with the current strength of the Wang family, even if there are demons on Kingentropy Mountain, they won't care, Wang said soothingly. Okay, clan leader, Wang Saiking said. Removing a ring from her hand, Wang Saiking's demonic aura instantly vanished. After all, she wasn't too old to rely on cultivation to conceal it like Zissou. Demonic spirits instantly surged forth, and Wang Saiking began to activate the withered branch. With a visible speed, the branch suddenly regained vitality, turning green again and slowly growing. The white excrement immediately dissipated, melting into the soil. Keep activating it daily. This is the only way. After 3 or 4 months, the soul-devouring tree will be fully grown, Wang Zuzi said. Chapter 194 Villagers. Wang De couldn't contain his excitement. He immediately arranged for them to stay in a courtyard next to the private school. He then took them up the mountain to see the current generation of the Wang family. Wang Saiking was naturally curious. She found the many children busy on the mountain, some practicing cultivation, others practicing magic, quite intriguing. The magic she was learning was all sorcery, and since she usually only had her father to talk to her about human matters, she was naturally curious. Seeing her interest, Wang De immediately arranged for Wang Liu to take her on a stroll up the mountain. He himself chatted with Wang Zuzi. A few days passed, and Wang Saiking helped Wang De activate the soul-devouring tree every day and played with the mountain children. By one day, the soul-devouring tree had grown to half Wang De's height. Wang De was naturally delighted, and he granted Wang Saiking's every request. This was Wang Saiking's first time in a place where human cultivators gathered, and she was very curious about the various elixirs and magical weapons. She also dragged her father to explore the Heiji market. Wang De went to greet Wang Zimin again. The two of them bought a ton of stuff at Heiji market. 10 days passed. The soul-devouring tree had grown taller than Wang De. That morning, Wang Saiking helped stimulate its growth, and then his father dragged him to the mortal realm. He said he was taking him to see his brother and uncle, naturally Wang Zui and his son. Wang De naturally didn't go with him. They should be safe in the Kingentropy mortal realm. Unexpectedly, Ken Yu was preparing to return to the mountains to hand over the beast pills he had acquired. Wang De hadn't sold these pills since Wang Xiaozin's return. According to Wang Xiaozin, these pills were essential for refining 4th grade and higher elixirs, so Wang De had kept them all and stored them. Having just arrived at the Kingentropy realm, Ken Yu passed through many fields. He glanced at his village, wondering if he should return to see his father and mother. But that very glance revealed a faint demonic aura within his village. Having cultivated the demon-devouring technique, he was unusually sensitive to demonic energy, and this demonic energy was emanating from his father's village. Naturally, he was concerned. As he flew down on his sword, the demonic energy grew increasingly pronounced. It was a demon. This demon was quite powerful, but he just hoped it wouldn't harm the villagers. Ken Yu flew through the air, relieved to see that the villagers were acting normally, unharmed. He then saw his parents busy at the door, but they didn't leave, instead following the demonic energy towards the village. Here, Ken Yu realized that the house was indeed the source of the demonic energy. After careful consideration, he realized it was the home of the old man. He knew the old man, a well-connected figure in the village who had provided considerable assistance to his family. It was only natural for Ken Yu to help him exorcise the demon. Inside, Wang Zuzi had also sensed Ken Yu's presence, but Ken Yu was unaware of his presence. Wang Saiking was chatting with her nephew, amused by the scruffy child. Suddenly, a flash of sword light descended. Ken Yu appeared inside the house, shielding the child and everyone else behind him. Be careful, that woman is a demon. The child panicked. Brother Ken, she's my aunt. Aunt? Ken Yu was puzzled. He had lived in the village for 14 or 15 years, so how could he not know this kid had an aunt? You, a mere cultivator at the 6th level of key training, can actually detect demonic energy in her? Wang Zuzi was also surprised. He had been strolling around Heiji Market with his daughter, and no cultivator had been able to detect demonic energy in Saiking. How could this kid be so sure? Are you a cultivator too? Ken Yu asked. Wang Zuzi nodded, looking at him with amusement. Since his last name was Ken, he couldn't be a Kingentropy disciple. Then just watch from the side while I devour this demon, Ken Yu said, and rushed forward. Wang Saiking was startled, her demonic energy rising, and she dodged, revealing her cultivation level. So she's just a demon at the 8th level of key training. Kinyi sneered. You, a mere key training level 7 cultivator, dare you look down on me? Wang Saiking scoffed. Then let's show you our true strength. Kinyi roared, instantly unleashing his demon devouring technique. Now that he had broken through to the 7th level of key training, the demon devouring technique was even more powerful. Wow! Brother Kin, how did you become a monster yourself? The child exclaimed in shock. This is magic. I'm not a monster, she is. Kinyi soothed him, and immediately rushed forward. Wang Zuzi, seeing that he was only at the 7th level of key training and eager to test his daughter, held back. With a clang, Wang Saiking flew backwards. She was a monster after all, and Kinyi's demon devouring technique was specifically designed to defeat monsters. Naturally, she couldn't withstand a direct attack. Shocked, Wang Zuzi saw Kinyi baring his fangs and charging forward without hesitation, and he quickly attacked, vanishing. Raising his hand, he grabbed Kinyi's hand. Foundation building? Are you in league with this monster clan? Kinyi asked. Your last name is Kin. Since you know about us, you probably can't leave today. Wang Zuzi's murderous intent surged, naturally not considering that someone with the surname Kin was also cultivating in Conjentropy Mountain. Boom. A single blow landed, sending Kinyi back several steps. Unwilling to harm a mortal, Wang Zuzi lifted off the air. Kinyi followed. The demon-devouring art unleashed a new level. Hefty's transformation techniques are rare. Wang Zuzi simply raised his hand, and a burst of white light filled the sky. Kinyi's eyes stung, and he felt powerless. His steps, which had been gradually regaining momentum, froze. A single spell had immobilized him. The opponent was clearly at more than the early stages of foundation establishment. Kinyi felt he had hit a wall, and even if he tried to escape, he couldn't. Wang Zuzi vanished, only to reappear before Kinyi the next moment. You're quite talented, boy. You managed to defeat my daughter with a single, transcendental attack. What a shame. Kinyi shouted, unleashing the demon-devouring art to its full power, but still unable to break free. Just as Wang Zuzi was about to take Kinyi's life, he heard his nephew shouting from below. Uncle, you can't kill Xiao Yi. He's a member of the Wang family. Don't kill him. He kept repeating it so that Wang Zuzi could hear clearly. Are you cultivating in Conjentropy? Wang Zuzi asked. Kinyi nodded. My name is Wang Zuzi, and I'm also a member of the Wang family, Wang Zuzi said. Then why haven't I seen you before? Kinyi asked. For special reasons. I can't elaborate. Who is your master? Wang Zuzi asked. Patriarch Wangda is my master, Kinyi said. Kinyi nodded again. The two flew down together. Wang Saiking followed, still deeply impressed by the previous attack, a blow that had intimidated her. Suddenly, she became curious about Kinyi. Chapter 195, Unsealing. At the foot of Conjentropy Mountain. Come, fight me again. Wang Saiking pulled Kinyi to engage in another sparring match. You can't beat me. The magic I practice is specifically designed to defeat demons. Kinyi said. Impossible. My mother said we demons are definitely stronger than human cultivators of the same realm, not to mention you're at a lower realm than me, Wang Saiking said. Then he turned to Wang Zuzi, who was standing beside him. Dad, are there truly powerful magic spells in this world that can defeat demons? Wang Zuzi smiled. Of course there are, but the magic Kinyi practices is probably quite high grade. Kinyi smiled and said nothing more. Use it again and let me see, Wang Saiking said to Kinyi. No, Kinyi flatly refused. Once I use this spell, if there's a demon nearby, it will become somewhat uncontrollable. What do you mean? Wang Saiking asked. It will create a strong urge to eat you, Kinyi said. Eat demons? Wang Saiking was surprised. How cruel. Why did you have to learn this kind of spell? Kinyi said helplessly. I didn't want to learn it, I was forced to learn it. Wang Saiking nodded. But when you use this spell, you look even more demonic than I do. Kinyi scratched his head and smiled awkwardly. He was still a little frightened. He had almost died at her father's hands before. He had been too impulsive. It seemed he would need to learn more from Master Wang Lin. After handing over the beast cores he had acquired to Wangda, Kinyi returned directly to the beast hunting mountains. Wang Saiking wanted to go along and see what was going on, but her father stopped her. The beast hunting mountains were close to the Cayenne sects territory. Although Wang Xiking had a magic weapon to conceal her demonic aura, it would still be easy for her to be discovered. So they discussed it. Kinyu would bring him a small beast, and she would take it back. She knew the strange beasts of this desert like no other, but she had never seen one that existed in human time. Kinyu naturally agreed, promising to catch her a docile one. That day, Wang Xinghuo officially began his training. Although he was 6 years old, he was actually only a little over 5. Born mid-year, he hadn't yet reached 6. However, at this age, he was fully capable of training, not much difference. As a child with a top-grade fire spiritual root, Wang naturally paid close attention. However, his own spirit-devouring tree had only just grown, and needed his attention as well. Wang Xinghuo had waited a long time for this day. Watching other children so proficient day after day, he naturally yearned for it. The breathing techniques took only a morning's instruction. After meditating for a morning and an afternoon, Wang Xinghuo could clearly sense the presence of spiritual energy. Wang De could imagine the astonishing speed of cultivation for someone with a top-grade spiritual root, but he hadn't expected Wang Xinghuo to be able to directly sense spiritual energy in less than a day. The next morning, Wang De explained many details about the method of sensing spiritual energy. Wang Xinghuo naturally studied diligently, and unsurprisingly, after 3 days, he successfully absorbed spiritual energy into his body, becoming a key training first-level cultivator. This speed was truly astonishing. Wang De recalled that the girl from the Sun family also possessed top-grade spiritual roots, having reached the foundation establishment stage at the age of 10. With so many bonuses from his own system, Wang De suspected that Wang Xinghuo's foundation building time would be even faster. However, this wouldn't be a matter of just 1 or 2 days. After Wang Xinghuo's fire spirit infused his body, he began to make good progress, joining the mountain disciples in their training room. Every day, Wang De taught him some basic techniques, and other fire-related techniques were naturally taught by the mountain disciples themselves. In a blink of an eye, several months passed. After months of hard work, Wang Xiking's soul-devouring seed finally blossomed and bore fruit. The 3 dark fruits resembled the silence of death. Anyone who saw them would find them eerie. Wang Zuzi stepped forward, examined one, and picked it. "This is the one that will release your seal." Wang De took it and examined it carefully. A humanoid figure shone within the fruit. "What should I do?" "Eat it, and the seal should be released," Wang Zuzi said. Wang De examined it again and, without hesitation, took a large bite. "It tastes good, a little sweet." Wang Zuzi was speechless as he watched him eat the entire fruit. Only the core remained. The sensation of the impact on his dantian made Wang De's body burn. It felt like he was back in Huangpo ruins, an extremely uncomfortable feeling. Trying to control his body, he slowly sat down cross-legged. The sensation of the impact on his dantian slowly disappeared, and Wang De instantly felt that he had sensed his dantian, and the water-based spiritual power had returned to his body. It was a familiar feeling he hadn't felt in a long time. "My cultivation is finally back," Wang De roared, his face filled with joy. Wang Zuzi patted his shoulder. "You've wasted 2 years of cultivation time. You must seize the opportunity from now on." Wang De nodded, his gratitude beyond words. If it weren't for Wang Zuzi, who came all the way from the desert to bring him the feces of the soul-eating beast, and Wang Xiking, he would probably have to wait for 20 or 30 years to break the seal. Thinking of how he had mocked him many times before and embarrassed him in various ways, Wang De felt that he was too petty. This fruit core? Could it be a new soul-devouring species? Wang De asked, picking up the fruit core in his hand. "No, this is the core of a ginkgo fruit, but it's not an ordinary ginkgo fruit, but the offspring of Lord Muzhu," Wang Zuzi said. "The offspring of Lord Muzhu?" Wang De was shocked. "Yes, I also heard from her 15th aunt that Lord Muzhu and the soul-devouring beast actually have a symbiotic relationship, and Lord Muzhu is actually a ginkgo tree demon, but he is not an ordinary ginkgo tree. There is not only the blood of the ginkgo tree in his body, but also the blood of other tree demons. As a tree, sowing is its nature, so it sows its own seeds in the soul-devouring species, thereby spreading its offspring in Yizhao and even every corner of the world," Wang Zuzi said. "So if I plant this seed, a tree demon will grow?" Wang De asked. "That's not the case. It's not easy for trees to transform into monsters. Even for a being as powerful as the Wood Lord, the offspring that transform into monsters are extraordinary. The tree you planted might just be an ordinary, Unusual ginkgo tree, Wang Zuzi said. Wang nodded and looked at the other two fruits. I heard there are strange beasts in it? Wang asked. Wang Zuzi nodded. It shouldn't be an ordinary strange beast. The Wood Lord has a deep hatred for some strange beasts, so he always enjoys torturing them. How do I remove the seal inside? Wang asked. Pick it off and it will naturally be removed, Wang Zuzi said. Chapter 196 Scorpion Again. Wang walked forward and tugged hard at one of the fruits. The fruit was instantly ripped free. A slow aura began to emerge, and the fruit in Wang's hand slowly transformed into core. There were also 3 eggs. Exotic beast eggs? Wang asked. Wang Zuzi nodded. The exotic beasts raised by Master Mu are no ordinary beasts. If you hatch them properly and train them well, they will be a great help to the family in the future. Wang nodded, handed the core and 3 eggs to Wang Si, and then moved on to the last one. He tugged again. This time there was no easing of the aura. Instead, with a boom, a massive scorpion appeared before him. Wasn't this the scorpion he had encountered in Huangpo Market? It looked like the same species of exotic beast, but slightly different in size. Wang was curious. The scorpion looked around. I'm out. I'm finally out. I'm free. I'm finally free. The loud roar echoed far away. Wang Zuzi stood in front of Wang Siking, fearing the scorpion might pose a threat. The scorpion regained consciousness, and upon seeing the people before it, it immediately understood everything. It turned to fly away, but as it leaped, it unexpectedly fell. My cultivation? The scorpion asked, bewildered. Then it glanced at Wang in front of it, holding a fruit. Soul-devouring fruit? Wang nodded. Give it to me quickly. The scorpion was about to charge, but a jet of water from Wang sent it repelling several meters. The scorpion then realized that its cultivation had been sealed, and the soul-devouring seed in the boy's hand was the means to unseal it. What do you want? I'll give it to you. Just give me that fruit, the scorpion pleaded. Wang glanced at Wang Zuzi, clearly unsure of the scorpion beast. I don't know what kind of beast it is, but I know that none of the beasts raised by the Wood Lord are weak, and they can all be tamed. There's nothing wild and unruly, Wang Zuzi said. No, the scorpion flatly refused. I can't possibly acknowledge this brat as my master. He's only at the 7th level of key training. If that's the case, I might as well just chop you down. You don't have any cultivation right now anyway, Wang said. No, I won't acknowledge you as my master, but I can give you something else in exchange for that soul-devouring fruit, the scorpion said sincerely. What is it? Wang asked. The scorpion looked around, only to find he had nothing. Eh? Wang looked at him with interest. I have nothing right now. Give me the soul-devouring fruit first. I'll return and get it once I've recovered my cultivation, the scorpion said. Do you think I'm stupid? Wang asked. The scorpion shook his head. Everything I say is true. I may look evil, but I'm a man of my word. Wang shook his head in disbelief. I think my mother told me that this guy, when fully grown, has the strength of at least a 7th rank spirit beast, equivalent to golden core, Wang Siking said from the side. Wang was shocked and didn't bother to waste any more time talking to him. He rushed forward to finish him off. The scorpion panicked. No, I don't want to die. I acknowledge you as my master. No, I'm afraid you'll betray me. Wang brought his sword down, and with a clang, his sword shattered. The scorpion remained unharmed. So strong? Wang was even more astonished. If this shell could be refined into a magical weapon, wouldn't it be possible to? Be careful. Wang Zuzi exclaimed in surprise. Wang's strike had failed, and the scorpion had actually swung its stinger and lunged at Wang. Wang Zuzi stepped forward. Now that Wang's cultivation had recovered, he naturally dodged as well. A white light curtain immediately bounded the scorpion. Wang Zuzi unleashed a surge of spiritual power, striking the scorpion dead. Wang held a soul-devouring fruit in his hand. What should I do with this? Will it enhance my strength? If you're not afraid of exploding, you can eat it yourself, Wang Zuzi said. Store it for now. It contains the cultivation of at least a 7th rank spirit beast. It will surely be of great use in the future. Wang nodded. After collecting the 2 seeds and a soul-devouring fruit, he called his disciples down from the mountain and carried the scorpion's body back up the mountain. Wang Zuzi helped Wang solve the seal issue and didn't want to stay any longer, So he prepared to take Wang's psyching back. Wang, grateful to the two, gave them many gifts. These were nothing more than some specialties of human cultivators: flying swords, elixirs, magic weapons, and many spirit stones. Wang Zuzi accepted them all without hesitation. Qin Yu also returned from the beast hunting mountains and brought a few exotic beast cubs for Wang Saiking. Wang Saiking was naturally happy and said he would bring something back for Qin Yi next time. Wang Da asked Wang Lin to say hello and let them leave the Eastern Territory safely. Finally recovering his spiritual power, Wang Da began to prepare for cultivation. After being sealed for 2 years, he was still at the 7th level of key training. Even Wang Zimin, Wang Zi, and Qin Yi were at the 7th level of key training. He, the clan leader, was no longer able to do so. After a second great elixir entered his body, Wang Da slowly began to adjust to his newly returned spiritual power. This adjustment alone took 5 or 6 days, before he could truly return to his previous state. The original soul-devouring tree had withered, so Wang Da removed the formation and planted a ginkgo tree in its place, with another further up the mountain. He also found a place to live and moved back into the mountains. Wang Da didn't dare cultivate the 3 beast eggs on his own, as no one in his family was skilled in raising exotic beasts. The mountain training room had already been built with top-grade spirit stones. Wang Lin also acquired 5-element natural treasures from Fansheng, increasing the training room's cultivation speed to its peak. Renovations began to be made to the buildings throughout the mountain, with a reorganization based on master-disciple relationships and the 5 elements. Kingentropy Mountain was thus transformed, and the disciples began to meet their greatest needs. Almost every elixir available was fully met. Magical weapons can be customized, and Qing Yin has also reached agreements with various forces skilled in weapon refining. Spirit stones are also supplied in large quantities. But this is still passive. Although Wang Da is now slowly developing alchemists, the most important cultivation resource, the rest of the aspects are clearly undeveloped. High-quality elixirs are only available in the major sects, and they will not sell them. The materials for high-level magic weapons are too expensive, and those that are refined will not be sold. Basic cultivation resources will never be enough to create a truly powerful force. Wang Da knew that there was still a long way to go. To become a truly powerful force, every step, every location, every resource outlet, and every kind of talent must be fully equipped. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 197 Natural Disaster. The white snow-capped mountains towered into the sky, their summits invisible amidst the shroud of mist. Beneath the clouds lay a vast expanse of white, snowflakes drifting down endlessly. It was impossible to tell how high the snow lay below. Breaking through the shroud of mist revealed the mountain top, where lightning and thunder roared. Countless clouds, interspersed with black and gray, thunderbolts continuously struck the snowy peak. A single beam of light pierced through the clouds, piercing the very summit, accompanied by a crisscross pattern of snowflakes. This anomalous phenomenon had persisted for 3 days. At the foot of the snowy mountain, 36 people gathered. This phenomenon has persisted for 3 days. What have you observed? An old man asked his companions. These past few years have been unusually cold, and the snow has blanketed the mountain. And for 3 days, this strange phenomenon has struck this sacred mountain again. I'm afraid disaster is brewing, another said. We should send our disciples up to investigate, yet another suggested. As the group chatted, a clash of horses echoed from the sacred mountain summit. Everyone was frightened. The sound was so far away that it spread in all directions. On the top of the mountain, above the pillar of light, countless feathers slowly fell. An object shining with 7-colored light began to emerge from the clouds and fell on the top of the mountain. The sun's rays fell again. The dark clouds gradually dispersed, and the fog slowly disappeared. But the snowflakes fell more and more. 36 people looked up and saw a giant beast with a pair of wings spread out, standing on the top of the sacred mountain. Everyone didn't understand what it meant. 5 of them flew up with swords and went forward to check. But before they flew halfway, the giant beast made another hoof sound, and the cry shook the sky. It slowly spread its wings and flapped them, and it arrived in front of the 5 people. A claw and an invisible sound wave fell. The snowflakes and fog around began to condense into ice, and the 5 people in front of them were instantly frozen into icicles, fell down, and shattered. The remaining 31 people in the distance were horrified. The 5 who had flown past, 3 giant cultivators and 2 unwavering cultivators, were instantly annihilated by such a simple blow. Without further ado, the 31 fled in unison, their forms unleashed. The beast flapped its wings again, clearly intent on catching them. As if possessed by consciousness, the overlapping snowflakes transformed into countless deadly weapons, slicing the 30 fleeing men into countless fragments. Unable to fight back, the beast, like the merciless laws of nature, filled the entire snowy mountain vicinity with a chilling cold. The cultivators' body fragments, frozen in ice, fell, and crumbled to dust. Like the giant cultivators' giants and the unwavering cultivators' naivete, their spiritual energy instantly dissipating between heaven and earth. But soon, this powerful spiritual energy was absorbed by the cold aura and converged within the beast. The beast roared, its power seemingly growing even stronger. However, one of the 30 had mastered the art of teleportation. While his fake form was slain by the beast, his true form escaped. Seeing the beast return to the mountaintop, he fled back to the sect master. "You're finally back." What happened at the northern divine mountain? A disciple, upon seeing him return, hurried to greet him. "Something terrible, something catastrophic. Quickly gather all the disciples back to the mountain," the man commanded. "How can we gather the disciples when the sect leader hasn't returned?" the disciple replied. "The sect leader is dead, and the 12 elders who accompanied me are all dead," the man declared. These words terrified the disciples below. "Go, quickly. Gather the disciples back to the mountain," the man continued. Within an hour, most of the disciples of the Wang sect had returned. Those further afield were still on their way. Within half a day, everyone had arrived. Everyone began packing up their belongings and fled the mountain gate. For unknown reasons, the strange beast atop the sacred mountain left the peak and began to fly south. Snow fell profusely wherever it passed. In the fields, many mortals herding cattle and sheep looked up at the falling snow. Then, a gigantic bird streaked across the sky, soaring southward. As the bird soared southward, cultivators everywhere it passed were shattered into ice. Some were annihilated before they even caught sight of the bird. The bird seemed to remain motionless, continuing southward. The disciples of the Huangwu sect had already left the mountain gate and fled westward, their destination unknown. But they knew that the entire northeastern region of Yizhao was doomed. Their 36 members had been among the most powerful cultivators in the region, and in that instant, they had all perished. News of the giant bird sent the entire northeast into a frenzy. Naturally, there were some cultivators of high cultivation in the northeast, all aware of their own weakness, fleeing west and east. But those unfortunate enough, those without news, were unable to escape. For a full fortnight, the giant bird hadn't left the northeastern region. However, throughout the eastern region, only mortals had fled, leaving no cultivators behind. By then, news of the giant bird had spread throughout Yizhao. Whether it was the Jiushanzuangxin Palace or the direction the bird had taken, eastern Yizhao, or the Mulan sect's mountain gate, Wang had been forcibly summoned there, accompanied by Wang Liaoru. The remaining leaders of the 7 major sects were all present. "We don't know what this beast is yet, but we know it wiped out the entire northeast's top cultivators with a single strike," Baizio said, gazing at the crowd below. "I heard even nascent soul cultivators couldn't escape, they were shattered in an instant," Liu Yu said. "So what should we do?" asked the headmaster of the Destroying God sect. "Xing, I summoned everyone here to discuss this matter," Baizio said. "According to estimates, the monster is flying east of us. It's expected to reach the eastern border within half a month. This formidable enemy is beyond our ability to handle. If the Jiushanzuangxin Palace doesn't take action, it could bring disaster to all of Yizhao," Liu Yu said. "Then flee," said the Zhou family head. "We absolutely must flee. This monster doesn't kill mortals, only cultivators. We should be able to protect any of our territory. However, we're on Xian'an sect territory below, so we obviously can't go southeast. The east is coastal, and if we were to venture out to sea, the deep sea beasts would pose a significant threat. As for the monsters in the west, the desert demons clearly wouldn't be friendly either," said another sect leader. Everyone fell silent. "What's the origin of this monster?" Wang suddenly asked. Baizio shook his head. "I don't know. Those who have seen it say it resembles a phoenix, an eagle, with a head like a tiger or leopard, and a giant bird covered in snow white. Wang nodded. You have nowhere to go, but Wang does. The Wang family doesn't have many descendants, and together with the Zhao and Liu families, there are less than 1,000 people. Wang Zuzi is in the desert, and there's Zisu, Wang Saiking, and the others. If it's just a temporary retreat, I'm sure they'll accept it. But with this monster's power, who knows if it'll change direction? If it suddenly takes off into the desert, they'll be left with nowhere to escape. Don't worry, everyone. The Jiushan Zuangsan Palace has received news just like us. I'm sure they'll take action against this crisis in Yizhao, Bai Zhao reassured. What if the Jiushan Zuangsan Palace can't resolve it? Liu Yu asked. You know, this guy can easily deal with a nascent soul cultivator. Then we can only flee overseas, Bai Zhao said helplessly. We're on the eastern coast. Across this vast sea trenches the territory of Yanzhao. As long as we don't get eaten by sea beasts, we should be fine once we reach Yanzhao. Everyone fell silent. They each went back to wait for news, then packed their belongings and prepared to flee. Regardless of whether the Nine Heavens' mysterious immortal palace could resolve the situation, they at least had to prepare for both scenarios. Returning to the mountain gate, Wang De instructed Wang Liaoru to notify all personnel to cease operations and return to the mountain. The Zhao and Liu families followed suit. A day passed, and everyone returned to the mountain. In the main hall, Wang De sat at the head, with Liu Zixing and Zhao Ju flanking them. Below them sat Wang Lin and the others. Wang De explained the seriousness of the situation and instructed them to notify all external personnel and independent cultivators associated with the Wang family. Preparations continued for over 5 days. On the 6th day, news arrived from the Mulin sect. Wang De arrived alone, without even Wang Liaoru. The demonic beast had already flown to the eastern and southeastern borders, clearly indicating that the Nine Heavens' mysterious immortal palace had taken action. The 7 sect leaders, including Wang De and the head of the Zhou family, 9 in total, traveled to the border to confirm whether the Nine Heavens' mysterious immortal palace could resolve the situation, and to facilitate their escape. After exiting the Mulin sect's mountain gate, the 9 of them flew northward. The Zhou family members in the north had already evacuated south, having strayed too close to the northeast. Across this forest is the northeastern border, the Zhou family had said. Everyone looked out of the forest, a blanket of white, a mass of clinging snowflakes drifting down. The snow had already covered the ground to high altitude. The falling snowflakes were increasing in number, signaling the giant bird's slow approach. From the west, 2 women floated in, dressed simply, with no hut ornaments and clothing unlike any other casual cultivator. They are the palace master of the Jiushan Zuangsan Palace. Bai Zhao breathed a sigh of relief, as if the matter had been resolved. The 2 women clearly paid no attention to the Jiushan here. They simply flew past from a distance, perching on a mountain top. While Bai Zhao had seen the palace master of the Jiushan Zuangsan Palace, it was clear that the other party had never seen him before. The 9 people followed the 2 women and flew forward, crossing the border and reaching the northeastern border. However, they could only watch from afar, not getting too close. If they engaged in a fight with a giant bird, they might be affected. From the east, another man suddenly appeared, floating in the air. Holding a folding fan and stepping on a giant turtle, he passed over the 9 people and flew directly towards the 2 women. He clearly didn't take the 9 people below him seriously. None of them paid any attention. After all, their level was clearly not theirs. Palace Master Zaya Ahua, long time no see, perhaps over 30 years, the man called out in greeting. The 2 women turned, and the leading woman said, Master Wu, it's been a long time. I didn't expect you're still alive. The 9 people nearby nearly fell over when they heard the name of Palace Master Zaya Ahua. With such a simple name and attire, if one didn't know, one would hardly guess that this man was the Palace Master of the Nine Heavens' mysterious immortal palace, the most powerful force in Yizhao. Palace Master Zaya Ahua still loves to joke around, the man said with an awkward smile. This Phoenix Owl's arrival is a matter for our Yizhao. Are you here hoping to snatch some benefits? Said the little flower palace master. I can't even imagine benefits. Natural disasters are a major event for the entire cultivation world. If we can't handle them well, it could lead to world destruction. I'm here because I'm worried that your Nine Heavens' mysterious immortal palace won't be able to handle the Phoenix Owl, and instead, it will grow stronger and bring disaster to other states, the man said. Wang and the others, listening below, finally learned the name of this giant bird, the phoenix owl. This is truly the first time we've encountered a natural disaster in Yizhao. While I believe others are here to help, I doubt you're here to help, said the Little Flower Palace Master. The man smiled awkwardly. Palace Master Little Flower, you're too serious. This natural disaster is no joke. I believe others will be here soon. The man finished speaking, and before long, another burly man appeared in the air. Master Wu, you're here before me, the man's powerful voice echoed. Of course I'm concerned about the natural disaster, sect leader Wu replied. Palace Master Xia Ahu. The burly man saluted the two women. Palace Master Xia Ahu returned the salute. With Brother Feng's help, we feel much more at ease. The natural disaster concerns the entire cultivation world, and since I'm close by, I naturally have to come, the burly man said. Now that we're here, it seems there won't be any problems, sect leader Wu said. The natural disaster that just struck wasn't very powerful yet, so the four of us are enough, the burly man said. The four men above were still chatting, while the 9 below were still listening. The men above clearly ignored them. They chatted for an indefinite amount of time. The snowflakes around them grew heavier. The 4 men chatting above were now on full alert. In the distance, the sound of horse hooves echoed, followed by the appearance of the massive figure. The 4 men had only known its name, never seen it in person. Now that they saw it, they naturally wanted to take a good look and assess its strength. Each natural disaster has its own form, some similar and some different. So, the people in front, although they knew the name of the disaster, did not know what it looked like. Slowly, the giant bird began to fly south. The 4 people above were fine, but the 9 people below were a little surprised. The giant bird was so big that it looked like a moving mountain from a distance. The sound of its hooves made the spiritual energy in the 9 people surge. Especially Wang, who was only at the 8th level of key training, almost vomited blood. No, we have to go further away. If a fight breaks out, we will probably be killed by their aftermath. Wang said. Everyone nodded and stepped back. The battle ahead seemed to be imminent. Chapter 198. They are going to invade. Cultivation inherently defies heaven. A natural disaster is a celestial annihilation of cultivators. However, even when a natural disaster strikes, its power doesn't transcend all others, rather, it needs to grow, feeding on the spiritual energy of cultivators to strengthen itself. This is why they are so eager to support Yizhao. If the entire Yizhao falls, the Phoenix Owl's power will reach a terrifying level. The surrounding prefectures, and even the entire world of cultivation, will face catastrophic devastation. Wang was quite surprised to read the records of natural disasters handed to him by Zhao. Flipping back, he found detailed accounts of various natural disasters throughout history. Most of these depicted ferocious beasts descending from the sky to decimate the world. The most severe one nearly wiped out 4 prefectures before disappearing for unknown reasons. According to later generations, natural disasters are often associated with unusual natural phenomena. For example, if the phoenix owl flew to the south, where the weather is hot, its power would be greatly reduced, or even disappear altogether. However, no cultivators survived the natural disasters, and the records are impossible to verify. Those who could slay natural disasters with their own hands were beyond their reach. The phoenix owl had showed no fear, nor did it pause. Snowflakes fell, enveloping the 4 people in front. The 9 people behind them could barely see them. When the snow had settled a little, the 4 had vanished. All they could see was the flashing of swords and the flying of sparks. Suddenly, a massive earthen wall appeared, obscuring their view. The wall lingered for a long time, but the falling snow finally ceased. No sound was heard, only a silent silence. The 9 people waited for a long time before Zhao boldly asked the 8 people behind them. Should we go over and take a look? The snow has stopped. The phoenix owl must be dead. The others shook their heads. This is a natural disaster. Even a nascent soul cultivator wouldn't be able to withstand a single blow. If it's still alive, we'd be killed if we were to go over and get even slightly affected. Then wait a little longer. Zhao was also terrified. This creature couldn't be treated with composure. Time slipped silently again. The clouds on the horizon slowly dissipated, and sunlight streamed down to the earth. Let's go and take a look. The sight emboldened everyone. At Zhao's command, the 9 men slowly and cautiously flew forward. Reaching the earthen wall, they reached out and touched it, still sensing the powerful earth-based spiritual energy lingering. Truly terrifying, the 9 sighed in unison. They continued their flight upward, attempting to bypass the wall. From this side, 9 had slowly emerged. Glancing forward, they saw nothing but a vast pool of blood ahead, no sign of a single person. The 9 men continued their ascent, climbing over the wall and flying towards the blood stain. Dead? Really dead? The 9 men took in the bright red stain and breathed a sigh of relief. They had actually vanquished this natural disaster. Even though they were still in Yizhao, their eastern forces truly couldn't compare to the 9 Heavens' mysterious immortal palace. They dispersed to investigate for a while, confirming the truth. The 9 of them prepared to return. Since it was a false alarm, there was nothing to fear. Wang, exploring the area, spotted a feather half his height in a forest. It was clearly the feather of the phoenix owl. Wang stored in his storage ring. Everyone returned to the eastern mountain. At Wang's command, all escape attempts were lifted and everyone returned to their respective posts. The Wang family remained the same force it once was. Since Wang had recovered his cultivation, he had successfully reached the 8th level of key training in just over a year. Wang had exhausted all the 10th level key training cultivators of the Liu family, but they had also produced 4 foundation establishment cultivators, including Liu Meng. This was the capital of the Wang family's power. Beyond their own system, while not comparable to the 7 great sects, they were at least a top-tier power in the eastern region. With industries now developing in parallel, it was clear that the Wang family's cultivation hadn't fallen behind at all. What Wang needed now was stability, and time. Given time, and with so many spirit stones and resources, even without a system, the 7 major sects could easily conquer them. Another month or so passed. Mulan sect's summons arrived once again. After Wang had instructed Wang Xinghuo in the mountains, he rushed to Mulan sect once again. Upon arriving, Wang clearly didn't know what had happened. Only after listening to Bai Xiao did he finally understand. It turned out that the natural disaster had wiped out the entire northeastern region, decimating the top cultivators of the 2 major factions. Now, only 6 remaining giant cultivators had been summoned. This time, the Xiang sect in the northwest has invited me to join forces, preparing a coordinated attack to divide the northeastern region. I summoned everyone here to hear your opinions, Bai Xiao concluded. I believe this is a great opportunity. The northeast is currently weak, and with the Xiang sect as our ally, dividing the northeastern region shouldn't be difficult, a nearby sect leader replied. Alliance leader, you shouldn't try to take advantage of a tiger. We in the east are already weak, and now we don't even have a cultivator at the nascent soul stage. And yet you're still thinking about plundering other people's territory? I'm afraid. Liu Yu didn't finish his words, but everyone understood his meaning. Bai Xiao looked at the others who hadn't spoken yet. The others now expressed their opinions. The East had been weak for too long, and they longed for new territory and for their own power to grow. Currently, there are 15 giant cultivators in the East, including 6 from the Mulan sect, 3 from the Yanling Pavilion, 1 from each of the other 4 sects, 1 from the Zhou family, and 1 from Wang. Of course, they all counted Wang as a giant cultivator. With the exception of Liu Yu from the Yanling Pavilion, almost all other factions agreed. Of course, Wang also disagreed. Alliance leader Bai, have you ever considered that the entire Northeast currently has only 6 giant cultivators? Even if some of them are mid or late stage giant, their strength is only comparable to ours in the East. But the Xiang sect is the undisputed leader of the Northwest, and their territory encompasses 30% of the West and Northwest. With their strength, can't they swallow up the Northwest today? Not to mention Jindan, even at the nascent soul stage, they probably have more than 1. Why would they ally with us? Wang left his words unfinished. Bai Xiao listened to Wang's words and pondered them deeply. Are you saying they want to drag us down with them so they can justify annexing our East? Asked an elder from the Mulan sect next to Bai Xiao. Wang nodded. The elder continued. But you must know that the Jiushan Zuangsun Palace won't stand by and watch them do this. Yizhao has always been a region with distinct territories. They've annexed and divided up the entire western region. While the Jiushan Zuangsun Palace hasn't intervened, it's also quite critical. If they attempt to annex the western, northwest, northeastern, or eastern regions, the Jiushan Zuangsun Palace will definitely intervene. Wang was speechless and remained silent. The elder refuted Wang, but his words made sense. Even if the Jiushinzuangsan Palace intervened, the entire eastern region would likely suffer heavy losses and be reduced to its current strength. Liu Yu interjected. If you want to go, go ahead. We, the Yanling sect, won't go. As we agreed, we'll defend the eastern region, advancing and retreating together. If they're attacking someone else's territory, we have reasons not to go. Well, this situation is special. Those who want to go can go, and those who don't can stay in the east. It's just that the Xiannian sect in the south is still eyeing us covetously, so we can't go out completely, Bai Xiao said. You, the Wang family and the Yanling sect, will stay in the east and watch over the south. The rest of you, select your disciples and follow me to the northeast. Wang De and Liu Yu both responded. Wang De had a vague suspicion in his mind. The Mulan sect was no fool. He had made it so clear, there was no way they wouldn't understand. Their ability and wisdom were evident in their ability to drive the Xiannian sect out of the east. This matter was shrouded in mystery. If it wasn't for immense profit, then there was something else, something unknown to them. But Wang De wouldn't care. If there was profit, one had to live to take it. Since the Mulan sect wanted to go, he wouldn't stop them. If they did manage to get a piece of the northeastern pie, Wang De wouldn't shamelessly ask for it. 3 days later, while Wang De was still teaching Wang Xing heroic entropy, 10 giant cultivators and over 50 foundation establishment cultivators from the 5 major sects, including the Mulan sect, gathered at the mountain gate of the Northern Zhou clan. The Northern Zhou clan was very close to the northeast, and they were preparing to march north from there and attack the northeast. Although the Wang family didn't send anyone to participate, as a member of the 7 Great Sects Alliance, they would be the first to inform them of any news. Wang De was currently preparing to launch his beast taming project. On the other side of Maple Mountain, a large crowd had already gathered. There was Qin Yi and 5 Liu family cultivators with extensive experience in hunting exotic beasts. There was also Wang Xiaozhen and others. The front half of Maple Mountain had been sold off, but with the mountain's numerous caves and declining purchasing power over the past year, it was unclear how long it would take to sell off the front half. Not wanting to waste this mountaintop, Wang De demolished the caves and built various facilities for breeding exotic beasts. He fenced off the back half of the mountain, preparing to raise exotic beasts. However, the Wang family clearly lacked such talent. While the Liu family cultivators were knowledgeable about exotic beasts, they clearly had no experience in breeding them. 7 or 8 months ago, Wang De had Wang Lin recruit several talented individuals from the Qianian sect, all experienced in breeding exotic beasts, to come to Maple Mountain to raise them. These individuals were of modest ability and weren't well received in the Qianian sect to begin with. Since Wang De offered a high price, they naturally agreed to come. For the past 7 or 8 months, they've been raising docile exotic beasts from the beast hunting mountains. This wasn't a difficult task, and the breeding was quite successful. Besides these Qianian sect disciples, there were also quite a few members of the Wang family. They all had a keen interest in raising exotic beasts, so Wang De sent them here to learn. 2 months ago, they began taming some of the more aggressive exotic beasts, which were also quite formidable. However, their skills were clearly lacking. Of the 29 newly hatched cubs, most had died, leaving only 13, and many of them were useless. Beasts that should have grown rapidly, reaching the strength of level 3 or 4 upon maturity, were now limited to level 1 or even level 2. Wang De's arrival was intended to address this issue. The Qianian sect's core disciples who raised exotic beasts couldn't find any themselves, so they could only rely on various books and the experience of these individuals to learn. He still didn't dare take out his 3 exotic beast eggs. If they were truly ruined by these people, it would be a complete waste. He himself had no idea how to raise exotic beasts. He had called Qin Yi and the Liu family cultivators over, hoping to resolve some issues. After all, the Liu family cultivators were very familiar with the habits of exotic beasts. Wang Xiaozhen, now successfully refined by Wang De using spirit stones and herbs, had become a solid second-grade alchemist. Wang De's approach to third-grade elixirs was also clear: try hard, and don't be afraid of failure. All of the herbs grown throughout Nisham were given to Wang Xiaozhen, Wang Dan, and the disciples who were learning alchemy from them. As for Wang Xinghao, he was now a 5th-level key training cultivator. He had broken through in just over a year, a speed that belied his talent. He was now also learning alchemy from Wang Xiaozhen. His success rate with second-grade elixirs was nearly 100%, and he had also achieved some success with third-grade elixirs. Wang Xiaozhen, once the master, had become his apprentice in just 6 months. However, Wang Xinghuo was completely unable to successfully refine elixirs above the 4th grade. His current alchemy skills, aside from his speed, weren't much higher than Wang Xiaozhen's. Wang De believed Wang Xinghuo's limit was clearly beyond the 3rd grade, but he simply lacked a good master. For now, 2nd grade elixirs were sufficient for the Wang family, and Wang De preferred that he focus on cultivation. Elixirs were crucial for raising exotic beasts. Exotic beasts also required cultivation, and the elixirs they could consume were relatively complex. So, Wang De directly summoned Wang Xiaozhen. As for Wang Xinghuo, while he had a high success rate refining elixirs, he clearly hadn't learned much about these systems. Most of the exotic beasts raised in Fengshan relied on the elixirs Wang Xiaozhen had refined from Mishan. I just checked, and the elixirs these beasts were consuming appear to be fine, just not in sufficient quantities. There seems to be some discrepancy, and the sudden deaths of so many clearly weren't just a minor error, Ken Yu reported, clapping his hands. He also had a deep understanding of the habits of exotic beasts. Is it still related to habits? Wang De asked. Ken Yu nodded. A nearby Kainian sect disciple said, these exotic beasts are inherently powerful and warlike. Keeping them in such a small space would probably dampen their instincts, preventing them from developing and growing. After a discussion, Wang De understood some of what he understood, but also some of what he didn't. I don't understand either. Just discuss it. What I want is to resolve this issue as quickly as possible and successfully raise 3rd and 4th tier exotic beasts. Everyone nodded, indicating obedience. Chapter 199 The Invasion of the Rebels. I've finally broken through. Liu Zixing rose cross-legged, gazing at the fallen 4th tier beast before him. As expected, growth comes through battle, breakthroughs occur through combat. Old Zhao, you better keep up the good work. Zhao Ju, standing beside him, looked disdainful. But you're so excited just to break through to the 9th level of key training? It's probably because you have enough spirit stones. Otherwise, fighting alone wouldn't replenish them, and that would be useless. Of course I am. Now that we have 4 foundation establishment cultivators in the Liu family, we have no shortage of spirit stones, and I have time to gain insights through combat. I suffered a minor injury, but it's nothing compared to the realm I've broken through, Liu Zixing said. You have extensive combat experience, so I'm still a little afraid, Zhao Ju said. Don't be so afraid. Since you've decided to come here to train, don't worry about getting hurt. Don't worry, I'm here. If your life really depends on it, I'll help, Liu Zixing said. If it really comes to a life or death situation, I'd rather trust old Qin. Zhao Ju glanced at Qin Yi beside him. You 2 clan leaders are joking. I will definitely protect you. Qin Yi, who was at the 7th level of key training, looked at the 2 clan leaders before him. By the way, old Qin, can you really defeat cultivators in the early stages of foundation establishment? Liu Zixing asked. I've challenged those in Fanchang 1 by 1. Defeating them was no problem, but I can't defeat some powerful cultivators in the early stages of foundation establishment. Even against Liu Meng, if I'm not careful, I can easily lose. Qin Yu said. I think we don't need to work hard on cultivation. Once we break through, we can just follow Qin Yi and learn this special spell, Zhao Ju said. My spell can't be passed on to others, Qin Yi replied. The 2 continued forward in silence. Halfway through, they saw a man in Taoist robes hiding stealthily behind a tree. There's actually a lone cultivator here, Liu Zixing said. No, it's from the demon tribe. Qin Yi's eyes were sharp. Upon hearing this, the man hurried out. Fellow Taoist Qin, please spare my life. You've devoured my family of 16, leaving me alone, a single demon, living alone in these mountains. If you devour me, I'll be extinct, and you won't be able to devour me anymore, the man said. Qin Yi smiled. You're too weak. Eating you won't be of any use. Otherwise, the entire population of bull demons in these beast hunter mountains will be wiped out. Thank you, thank you. The man hurriedly fled. The 3 continued forward. Qin Yi was essentially acting as a protective escort. He had devoured nearly all the demons in Maoguang Peak, and they were now truly powerless. Suddenly, Qin Yi received a voice message from Wang De and quickly opened it. Master urgently summons us back to the mountain. It seems something big is happening again. We've been called back several times recently. Last time, they said a natural disaster was coming, and it took us so long to prepare, Liu Zixing said. That incident wasn't a small one, it was just the Nine Heavens' mysterious immortal palace intervening. Qin Yu finished speaking, and without further ado, he soared onto his sword. The two men behind him had no choice but to follow. In the Conjentropy Mountain Hall, everyone gathered. This was the fourth time they had been urgently summoned back to the mountain in recent times, causing their normal work to be interrupted. This time, it's truly a major event. The Mulan sect and 6 other factions were completely annihilated in the northwest. Only one Foundation establishment cultivator escaped. The Baixiao Alliance leader and 10 Jinden cultivators are all dead. Wang spoke, and everyone was shocked. The Huangwu sect in the northeast is now the master of the northeast. They have expressed hatred for our invasion from the east and may soon launch a counterattack against us in the east, Wang continued. Everyone remained silent. Wang had no choice but to continue his instructions. Now, we have more than just Conjentropy. If we want to protect our current assets, we must defend against the Huangwu sect's counterattack. All disciples, return and pack immediately. In 2 hours, head to Maple Mountain in the north. For the time being, without my orders, stay in Maple Mountain and do not wander off. The crowd dispersed, leaving only Wang and Wang Liaoru in the hall. The situation was critical, and Wang had no desire to defend the eastern region. Not to mention that his system could only be used within his own territory for maximum effectiveness. Even if he truly gathered all his clan members outside, once the 8 formation diagram was activated, it would likely be insufficient to withstand the Huangwu sect's attack. Over the past few years, Wang's experiments with this formation had thoroughly mastered it. The 5 elements formation could only be used within the clan's territory. The original formation didn't need to be within his own clan. As long as there were Wang family members present, it could be used even outside. As for the 8 formation diagram, it could also be used outside. Wang had previously tried it at the Liu family mountain gate, and it worked as usual, though with less power. For now, he could only defend his own territory. Fengshan, located in the north, had also been designated by the system as the clan's location, making it a perfect place for the formation. This was Wang's confidence. Information was currently limited, and the remaining strength of the Huangwu sect was impossible to estimate. It was known that 6 Jinden cultivators remained. However, the deaths of Baixiao and his 10 Jinden cultivators shone a strange light. How did the remaining 6 Jinden cultivators of the Huangwu sect manage to hold off Baixiao and his men, especially with the support of the Xiang sect? While things seemed amiss, Wang didn't want to dwell on them. Ultimately, it was Mulan sect and his men's own fault. They were going to die on someone else's territory, and there was nothing he could do to stop them. Yanling Pavilion still had 3 Jinden cultivators, including Liu Yu, and Mulan sect had another. In sheer numbers, they were no match. But if Mulan sect and Yanling Pavilion fell, Wang would be truly isolated and helpless. Then, he'd be trapped. Mulan sect was in a state of disarray. The other 6 factions had gathered here, but they were all successors. Only the Jinden cultivator of Mulan sect was still in charge. Liu Yu and Wang arrived later. This is an emergency. What's the situation? Wang asked. Liu Yu shook his head and looked at the Mulan sect elder. The elder also shook his head, not in ignorance, but in frustration. At this point, I'm not afraid to tell you the truth. Before they left, they received a promise from the Jiushan Zuangxin Palace that the Xiang sect wouldn't be allowed to dominate the border. The Xiang sect also received orders from the Jiushan Zuangxin Palace. That's why the sect master and his men dared to rashly attack and carve up the northeastern region. However, things are always unexpected. The Huangwu sect in the northeast has been operating for centuries and borders the northern Changzhou to the south. During this crisis, they spent a huge sum of money to recruit external aid from Changzhou. Not only did they firmly curb the Xiang sect's actions, they also directly killed the sect master and his men. Now that the Xiang sect still has some strength, they naturally dare not take any action. But our eastern region is already weak, and after losing 10 Jinden cultivators, they have directly set their sights on us. Liu Yu and Wang pondered for a long time. Will the foreign aid from Changzhou also come this time? Wang asked. That's unlikely. They were mainly used to intimidate the Xiang sect. They should have returned long ago, the elder said. Should? Liu Yu's brow twitched slightly. We told you not to go a long time ago, and now you're gone, and you die, leaving behind a mess, which would only harm us. Liu Yu's unhappy expression was seen by everyone. In the east right now, apart from Wang, the Yanling Pavilion is the strongest, and all its disciples have survived, without a single casualty. As for the Wang family, aside from Wang, the rest seem to be no match for them. Let's wait and see. If they really come, we, Yanling Pavilion, will definitely retreat, and you, Mulan sect, will have to face the wrath of the Wangwu sect on yourselves. Liu Yu said ruthlessly. Master Liu, you can't be so heartless, the elder said anxiously. It's not that I'm heartless, but you've brought this upon yourselves, Liu Yu said. You have to understand that when the nest is destroyed, all the eggs will be left intact. If the Wangwu sect really attacks, can you, Yanling Pavilion, stay out of it, the Mulan sect elder said. Our Yanling Pavilion now has 4 giant cultivators and dozens of Foundation establishment disciples. Even if the Huangwu sect were to invade our territory, they would have to think twice, Liu Yu said. You. Sect elder Mulan was furious, unsure what to do. If it were truly an invasion, our Yanling Pavilion would have stood at the border, even at the risk of our lives, and would not retreat a single step. But in this case, you were the ones who provoked them first. I can't afford to pay for it, Liu Yu said. Wang nodded. Liu Yu was right. They had caused the trouble themselves, so there was no need to pay for it myself. Master Liu, clan leader Wang, you can't just ignore this. The new master of the Destroying God sect nearby said fearfully. It's not that we won't, but we can only protect ourselves. Liu Yu flicked his sleeves and flew away, leaving everyone stunned. Wang stood up, and the new masters immediately grabbed him. Patriarch Wang, you have to stay, otherwise our clan will be wiped out, said the new headmaster of Kainian sect. Wang shook his head. I can't beat 6 giant cultivators alone. After saying that, he slowly pulled away the arm of the headmaster and flew away on his sword. Wang returned to Qinjiantang and told Wang Zimin to stay behind in Qinjiantang and the 2 younger groups of disciples to prevent any accidents. The rest of the disciples, including the cultivators of the Liu family and the Zhao family, all gathered in Fengshan. Afterwards, Wang flew directly to Fengshan. In fact, Wang thought that with the 4 giant cultivators of Yanling Pavilion, plus a giant cultivator from Mulan sect, and his own formation, it would not be impossible to stop Huangwu sect, which only had 6 giant cultivators. Unfortunately, Liu Yu had such an attitude, and Wang no longer had the idea of coexisting and dying with the other 6 forces. Wang was confident he could hold on to his own territory, but he could only prepare in Fengshan. Even if he couldn't defeat the Wangwu sect, Wang was confident he could temporarily trap them with the 8 diagrams. It was unclear what Liu Yu was thinking, even now trying to disperse the forces in the east. 3 days later. Master, Wang Lin's message arrived, Ken Yi said to Wang standing atop the mountain. What did he say? Wang asked. The Wangwu sect's men had already arrived in the north, slaughtering nearly all of the Zhou clan's forces. Cruel and ruthless, but it's human nature. Who told them to attack someone else's territory? Wang said. I'm weak, so I can't blame anyone else. The 3 clans stood guard, awaiting the Wangwu sect's arrival. 3 more days passed, and 2 more sects' territories were slaughtered. The Wangwu sect had captured nearly 30% of the eastern forces. There was still no news from Yanling Pavilion. It seemed they were truly clinging to their territory and had no intention of leaving. For the next 10 days or so, the Huangwu sect remained silent, perhaps recuperating. Meanwhile, the other sects were in an uproar. The Destroying God sect, located to the west, was already the weakest of the 7 major sects, and upon hearing the various news of the past 10 days, the sect was in a state of turmoil. The new leader immediately ordered his disciples to flee for their lives, rather than lingering on. The Destroying God sect vanished from sight. When the Huangwu sect disciples reached the Destroying God sect's mountain gate, they found no one, not even a single spiritual being. In Yanling City, the main hall was sparsely populated, only about 20 people. Liu Yu had been sitting there for over 10 days, not leaving, as news trickled in day after day. Master, I estimate that in 3 or 4 days, the Huangwu sect will attack the Mulan sect's mountain gate, a nearby disciple said. Liu Yu nodded. The Mulan sect can't hold it. The biggest uncertainty now is the Wang family. Can Wang hold it? The nearby disciple asked. I don't know. Anyway, we have two plans. We can use this as a test of Wang's true strength. A young cultivator at the 8th level of key training, do his magic weapons have any flaws? Liu Yu said. Then why didn't Master test him the last time he came to our city? The disciple next to him asked. Liu Yu's eyes narrowed slightly. Are you stupid? If I attack, and I can't defeat him, won't I die? Even the entire Yanling Pavilion will pay the price. The disciple quickly lowered his head, not daring to say more. Using the Wangwu sect's men to test him now is the best option. If the Wang family can truly withstand the Wangwu sect's attack, we wouldn't mind sharing the eastern continent with them in the future, Liu Yu said. What if they can't hold their ground? The disciple next to him asked. Then from now on, Yanling Pavilion will be the only one left in the eastern continent, Liu Yu said. As he spoke, an old man walked in. Master, we're all ready. Now we just have to wait for the Mulin sect to fall. Liu Yu nodded. The situation with the Wang family is still uncertain, so there's no rush. Everyone remains silent, still sitting in the main hall. Fengshan, clan leader, Master Zimin has sent word that many Kainian sect disciples have crossed the Beast Hunter Mountains and are seeking refuge with us, Wang Liu reported. The Mulin sect hasn't even fallen yet, but the Kainian sect's people are already getting anxious, Wang De casually remarked. What kind of disciples are they? They're all escaped disciples, and their strength isn't very high, Wang Liu replied. Let them go to Fenchang and become independent cultivators. I'm afraid the Kainian sect won't even exist in the future. We, the Wang family, don't know if we can hold on. Wang Liu withdrew and left. Chapter 200 Purpose. 3 days later, Wangwu sect disciples had already entered Mulin sect territory and were heading towards its mountain gate. In a dense forest, 3 people stood alone in an open space. Clan leader, I beg you. Mulin sect is in trouble now, and they are simply seeking shelter, Liu Meng pleaded bitterly to Liu Zixing before him. You know the situation now. It's not a question of whether I can help or not. It's that we can't guarantee we can withstand Wangwu sect's attack. If we fail, what difference will it make whether they come or not? Liu Zixing said. I believe that clan leader Wangda will be able to withstand Wangwu sect's attack. Liu Meng recalled how Wangda had taught him the techniques of moving mountains and controlling strength. I'll go talk to clan leader Wangda. Liu Zixing nodded. Don't act rashly on this matter. The 3 of them flew through the forest together and arrived at Maple Mountain. Ascending, they reached Wangda's location. Liu Zixing did not go, minding his own business, leaving only Liu Meng and the other 2 to ascend. What's the matter? Wangda asked casually when he saw Liu Meng enter with a woman. I've come here to ask Patriarch Wang for something, Liu Meng said, bowing directly. What is it? Wangda asked. I hope Patriarch Wang will agree to allow some people from the Mulin sect to enter our area and seek refuge, Liu Meng said. Wangda, upon hearing this, instantly glanced at the woman beside him. I think I've seen you somewhere before, the woman said. Of course Patriarch Wang has seen me. I'm a disciple of the Mulin sect. I was the one who received Patriarch Wang and Patriarch Liu when they first came to Mulin secto. Wangda suddenly remembered. What are you 2 doing? Wangda asked Liu Meng. We've become Taoist companions, Liu Meng replied. Wangda nodded. So? Yes, I know our Wang and Liu families are struggling right now, but I believe Patriarch Wang can hold his own against the Wangwu sect's attack, Liu Meng said firmly. Is that so? Wangda smiled. Honestly, I don't have any confidence myself. Wangda didn't have the confidence to kill them, but he was confident he could trap them. That was something Wangda could still do. Furthermore, based on the information he'd gathered recently, of the 6 Jinden cultivators in the Wangwu sect, only 2 were in the early Jinden stage, 3 were in the middle Jinden stage, and 1 was in the late Jinden stage. This was beyond Wangda's expectations. If it's just her family seeking shelter, I can agree, Wangda replied. The woman shook her head. No, it's a Mulin sect's foundation, about 500 people. 500? Wangda smacked his lips. Our Wang family didn't participate in the attack on the northeast. If we were to protect you now and incur the wrath of the Wangwu sect, wouldn't that be? Wangda said, mid-sentence. No, the Wangwu sect hasn't yet attacked the Mulin sect's mountain gate. They are the sect's hope, not high-level cultivators. We just need the clan leader to find us a place. I guarantee this information will never leak out, And the Wangwu sect won't even know that the clan leader is protecting our Mulin sect disciples, the woman said. Wang bowed his head in silence. The two men continued to kneel before him, speechless. Honestly, at this point, any promises of protection were empty talk. If he could truly defeat them, saving the entire Mulin sect would be no problem. However, Wang couldn't understand the Yanling sect's actions. He had a bad feeling. Was Liu Yu the type to act impulsively? Obviously not. Did he know that with the combined strength of the other 6 factions, his chances of defeating the Wangwu sect would be much greater? He obviously knew that. Wang's only priority now was to defend his territory. With the arrival of the Mulin sect's men, Liu Meng, with his abilities, would naturally be able to accommodate them. Of course, the Mulin sect hadn't completely given up. This was merely a preparatory measure. They still had the strength to withstand the Wangwu sect's attack, so they didn't simply disband and flee like the Mishen sect had. 3 days later, at the Mulin sect's mountain gate, the 6 great giant and cultivators of the Wangwu sect gathered and charged into the intertwined mountain range. Brother, is that thing really here? A young man asked the leader of the 6 people in midair. The news can't be wrong. That Baizio must have found it, otherwise, why would they come to our northeast? The leader said. Although we've already occupied most of the eastern region, we've also suffered considerable losses. The Phoenix Owls have already slaughtered most of the cultivators in the northeast. If we can't find it this time, it will be very difficult for our Wangwu sect to recover, another person said. Boom. The sound of the sect's protective formation shattering interrupted the conversation. After 3 days of attack, we've finally broken through this protective formation, the previous person said casually. With giant and cultivators guarding the formation, this formation must be very powerful, the other person said. 4 of the 6 had already rushed down and engaged the Mulin sect disciples. Among them was the Mulin sect's giant and cultivator. Master, in my opinion, after seizing so much territory and so much good, why would they want that thing? It's not edible, the young disciple said, standing next to the leader. Xiao Wen, you're still too young to know its use. If we truly find it, then all of Yizhao, save for the Jiushan Zuangxin Palace, will be ours, the leader said. The 10 great golden core masters of the East have perished for this thing. Now, we don't know how many more will die, the young man asked. Is there any force in the East capable of stopping us now? The leader looked furious. They were just cannon fodder. Until their deaths, I'm afraid only a few members of the Mulin sect will know about them. It's a waste of time for those Mulin sect members, the leader said. Since Master wants it, I'll go find it for you. The young man said nothing more, floating down into the air and charging into battle. The leader smiled. Soon, the entire Mulin sect's mountain gate erupted in dazzling flames. Search. Don't miss a single spot, don't let a single person escape. A giant and cultivator commanded, and numerous Huangwu sect disciples began a sweeping search of the Mulin sect's mountain gate. Xiao Wen, what brought you here? The cultivator looked down and spotted the young man from before, nestled among a mountain peak. I don't like murder and arson. I prefer sitting here. Xiao Wen lay against a tree, eyes closed, seemingly oblivious to the blood, the shouting. A day and a night passed. Blood flowed through rivers everywhere, flowing along every mountain peak and into the fields below. The silent Mulin sect was like a crimson sunset. Atop a mountain peak, within a grand hall, 7 people sat down in a row. Master, we've searched all day and all night, scouring the entire Mulin sect's mountain gate, and we haven't found him, one of the disciples said. Really? The leader asked. The other person nodded. A sudden headache gripped the leader. We've already penetrated deep into the eastern hinterland, and we can't even find all the disciples stationed at the various mountain tops. If we can't find it, then we'll have lost more than we've gained. Master, I think we should go back. If we can't find it, then we can go back and rebuild the mountain gate, recruit more disciples, and protect our own territory. Wouldn't that be the best? Xiao Wen said. What do you know? The leader scolded. Then he looked at the crowd below. No matter the price, we must find it. Our Huangwu sect's high-level cultivators have all perished, and only a few of us are left. If we don't have support, how can we hold on to the northeast? The lessons of the East are still fresh in our memory. It won't take years, not even decades, to recover. Everyone took the order and gathered their disciples, preparing to continue south. If this item wasn't in Mulin sect, it would have fallen into the hands of other forces in the east. Their priority now was to scour the east, even if it meant digging deep underground to find it. You guys go, I'll stay here. It doesn't matter if I'm here. If you all die, I can at least preserve some of our Wangwu sect's foundation, Zio once said, without rising. If you don't want to go, stay here. If we all die, take the remaining disciples and return to the northeast, one of the six said. The leader frowned. You kid, you're increasingly disrespecting our master. Zio once suppressed his smile and took a sip of his wine. Master, be careful of the Yanling sect. I've always felt something's wrong with them. And the Wangda, don't fight them unless necessary. The leader didn't reply, but flicked his sleeves and left the hall. Suddenly, only two people remained in the hall, Zio Wen and the other man. Brother, why did you contradict our master? The man said to Zio Wen after everyone had left. He's courting death. I don't want him to destroy the last remaining foundation of our Wangwu sect, Zio Wen said. Thinking back then, Grand Master and the others talked about going to the sacred mountain, claiming that there would be strange natural phenomena and rare treasures, but what happened? The man remained silent, and Zio Wen continued. Out of more than 30 people, only Master escaped. Almost all the high-level cultivators in the entire northeast perished. Afterward, so many cultivators from the east perished in our northeast, while fighting for the so-called rare phoenix owl treasure. Now it's Master and the others again. The man was at a loss for words after hearing this. Then let's persuade Master to take us back. There's no way back. He's already mad with anger, Zio once said. But there's no threat in the east, right? We've already destroyed the most powerful Mulin sect. What other threats are there? The man asked. I don't know. I only know that if we continue in this frenzy, the same fate awaits us as the Mulin sect, Zio once said. Outside. In the sky above the Mulin sect's mountain gate, the remaining Wangwu sect disciples gathered and flew southeast. In the eastern region, aside from one remaining sect in the south, the remaining ones are the Kainigan sect, the Yanling sect, and the Wang family. Ever since the Mulin sect's mountain gate was breached, the Kainigan sect has been terrified. The upper echelons of the sect were relatively safe, packing up their belongings and preparing to flee. Whether heading south to the Xianian sect's territory or west to the desert, both were preferable to staying here. The lower-level disciples were also in complete disarray, some seeking refuge with the Yanling sect, others with the Wang family. Consequently, the Huangwu sect disciples had no intention of heading for the Kainigan sect's mountain gate, instead heading directly for the Wang family's territory. The treasure was exceptional, and they estimated that if it weren't in the Mulin sect, it would likely fall into the hands of the Yanling pavilion and the Wang family. Wang spotted a dense crowd from afar on Maple Mountain. A group of people were arriving on flying swords. The Huangwu sect members were surprised to see neither a protective formation nor any other magical artifacts on Maple Mountain. They stopped dead in their tracks. Master Wang, you're honored. Seeing them stop, Wang calmly took off into the air with Liu Meng and the other two Foundation Establishment cultivators. Patriarch Wang, the leader asked. Wang nodded. The Wangwu sect's attack on our eastern part was our fault. Now, you've annihilated only two of the sects that attacked our northeastern part. My Wang family wasn't involved. I wonder what brings you here on our territory? The leader suddenly laughed. You little brat, so naive? I thought you had some tricks up your sleeve. Seeing his directness, Wang didn't beat around the bush. While our Wang family's strength is limited, it's more than enough to deal with you. If you leave now, we won't get involved in the rest of the matter. More than enough to deal with us, the leader continued with a laugh. Without waiting for Wang's reply, he turned and looked behind him. Kill them all. Leave no one alive. Not a single one spared. Wang shook his head. This group of people had gone on a killing spree. Slowly charging forward, slowly approaching. Wang, seizing the perfect moment, activated the formation. Maple Mountain was also recognized by the system as the Wang clan's mountain top. The formation could be used here as well, and its power was no less than that used on Kingentropy. However, the disciples now gathered on Maple Mountain weren't just the Wang clan's disciples, but also cultivators from the Zhao and Liu families, especially the 4 Liu clan members in the Foundation Establishment stage. The 5 elements formation clearly had no effect on them, and the most basic formation wouldn't absorb their spiritual energy to strengthen Wang himself. However, the 8 formation diagram offered complete flexibility. Those who entered the formation could be killed or used, depending entirely on Wang and, of course, Wang Liaoru, who was standing nearby. Over 300 people were absorbed by Wang's formation. It was a force so close that escape was impossible, and Liu Yu was deeply impressed. The remaining followers, all of whom were less powerful, stared at the massive 5 elements formation before them, gleaming with light, unsure whether to advance or retreat. 1 or 2 approached, but with a single step, they were sucked directly into the formation. The rest did not dare to move a step, but just ran back, running towards the top of the hill of Mulan sect. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.